right now.
Welcome to episode 112 of the Reptile Gumbo podcast. I say 112. I'm pretty sure it's 112.
I got nothing.
Last week
I cannot help you with that at all.
I literally listened to last week's podcast yesterday, and now I can't remember
It was. I'm pretty sure it's.
We just went live and it says 112.
Oh no, that's wrong. This is episode 113.
Oh.
Welcome to episode 113. Man, fucked all sorts of shit
I was
up.
about to say I got nothing.
No, Chris Dieter's episode last week was 112. Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm salty about that.
About Chris Dieter coming?
Yes.
Yeah.
I freaking love Crocodile Encounter.
See, we could have had her here, and then one of us would have had gone.
It's like
none of us that were here last week have ever been.
it's the best place in Brazoria County, which I realize is not hard to do because it's Brazoria County.
Well, it is a big county though.
It is a big county,
But there's a lot of
there's-
nothing.
Yeah, it's mostly rural.
Yeah.
So
Rural
if you like corn and dirt
and
I want
rice
some
patties.
land
and bugs
and dirt.
So, anyways, as you Megan, listen, Robert is not here. Megan, Sabletan bitch, whatever.
Do you actually know how to say my last name?
I did at one point, but what's the point now? All right, what is it, Katie?
Hold on, I
The
gotta have the
pronunciation
That's
is
cheating.
literally
No,
on
no,
my
no, yeah.
Facebook.
You assume I look at your Facebook.
Yeah, well, you're missing
Savjakovic.
out on some great
that close?
content. That was not.
That was not it. I don't know what it is, but I know
Well,
it's
it
not that.
was It was sort of close, but you're like
Is it Sab?
emphasis was
Stab you a
wrong.
bitch.
No, Sabya
Stab some bitches.
Kovic.
Sabjakovic.
Yeah. I don't know that those phonetics.
See, it's
those
way
phonetic
more
lessons
fun.
for my
It's
brain.
way more
Listen,
fun to fuck it up on purpose.
Of the three of us,
Kovic.
I'm not teaching children, so
I know, and I teach phonetics. That's why I should know how to do this shit. I lie.
Look,
I don't teach phonetics.
there are
I get
still
my
kids
coworkers
whose
to
names
help.
I don't know how to pronounce, and so on my random name generator to figure out who I should call on, if theirs pops up, I just hit the fucking button again.
No.
Oh yeah, we're what, 7 months into school, 6 months in school?
Sad day.
Still don't know how to pronounce their
Your
name.
name is the most important part of you.
That is not
Oh,
true.
Joe just broke.
That
your
is not fucking
headphones.
true. Not true. Have you met people with stupid ass names? If that's the most important part of them, then their life sucks. Bro, why don't you just break? How did you just break the
I
headphones
don't
you
know.
just got?
I just got a text message. Our child borrowed headphones, our extra headphones for the podcast, so
She
could.
had them for 2 minutes.
Yep. And the whole earpiece popped off.
Fuck. That's why we can't have nice things. Anyways, so
She goes, "Hey, in my defense,
there's no defense. She's had them for 2 minutes, and the
they
headphones
were
are already
broken to begin with." She said,
They were not
No
broke. No,
way.
they weren't. They have been in here in the podcast room
I just
and
put 'em on-
used.
I just put 'em on
Megan
my
was the last one to
head.
use them.
Oh Lord.
Oh, whatever the fuck. Anyways, you want to do our sponsors?
Yes, I can do our sponsors. If you are looking for a high quality PVC rack, look no further than Lone Star Reptile Racks. They offer a variety of sizes for all types of snakes, geckos, rats, and more. You can even order something custom. Shipping is available, or you can plan to pick up at a Herbst Reptile show near you. Visit lsreptileracks.com to reach out to Lone Star Reptile Racks and place your order today.
They're not fucking broken. Our kid's just special.
Did it just pop off? Like the little foam piece just pop?
Yeah.
Oh, I say they worked for me like not even 2 minutes.
Just
ago.
Joe. No one wants to hear your voice.
Man, her face. Man, her
Now I gotta
face.
fix the damn things.
Give them to me, and you can talk about our Herps vendors.
Our vendors?
Not
No,
our
we
vendors,
are
the Herps show.
I got it. You can talk about it.
Well, so this past weekend, you guys were in Austin.
We were in Austin.
You were in Austin. Robert was in Austin. I was not. I was here. Then I guess it was a good show. We haven't really. You came home with a snake.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, whatever.
So we were in Austin. So I actually had, it was an okay weekend for me. I sold one rainbow boa and a couple of sand boas, which covers the weekend. And since it's not my job,
Hooray!
I'm good. And then we had a silent auction
Mhm.
to help one of our vendors who's going through
Chemo.
chemotherapy. He's doing great, by the way. I saw him. He's doing great. And I wasn't going to buy anything because, as usual with most silent auctions, it was full of shitty ass normal ball python males that people don't want anymore. So they throw them into a silent auction to feel like they're doing good, which I don't know who the fuck they think they're helping. And so I said, no, I'm not gonna get anything. And then Sunday I said that to somebody and they go, oh, they've added new stuff. I was like, yeah, but it's probably nothing good. And then they go, oh no, someone added a carpet python and they pointed over at Michael Pinnell's table. I was like, fuck. So I had to go over there and look. And there was
Obviously.
It's a cute little thing.
and there was a carpet python. It was a Brisbane coastal carpet from Michael Pinnell. And
I mean, I don't know what any of that means, but
it's a locale. It's the larger locale of coastal carpet pythons. But it's also one of the weirder ones, kind of like how my Brettles likes to get cold. Like if you go to the brumation, you actually drop them pretty low. These also
good. It'll fit in with all the other weird ass snakes we have here.
Yeah, so it fits, and it came from Michael. And so I here's what happened though. Our friends over at No Drama Llama, Lily, had bid $75 on it, and I was like, oh shit, well I'm not gonna bid on it. She goes, no, go ahead and do it. I was like, no, I'm not gonna do it. And then I texted Katie, like, yeah, Michael Pinnell put a snake in the
I told
auction.
you to bid on it.
And Katie goes, bid on it. Was the worst thing because I was waiting for her to be like, no, we don't need that.
You sold at that point. You had sold multiple snakes, so you had the money to bid on it.
So I went and bid $80. I bid $5 above Lily. I was like, all right. She told me to do it. I bid it. An hour left in the auction. I walked back over there. She like fucking outbid me $100. I was like, I walked back to her table. I was like, fuck you, Lily. I was like, what the hell? And she's like, what do you mean? Well, you told me to bid on it. Yeah. And she's like, I didn't realize you bid on it. My name's right. It literally says No Drama Llama, James Lewis, No Drama Llama. How did you miss my name? It was on there. She was like, well, I was just competitive. I wanted to win. You didn't think. And then who goes from 80 to 100? She jumped straight to the number that I wasn't going to go, but I was like, 100 was where I'm going to go. So she goes, well, if you pay me $80, I'll count the other 20 as a donation. And so I did. So now I have a snake.
It's cute though because he put a hide in with it, and instead of going in the hide, it goes up and perches.
Perks right up on top of the hide. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking hide. I'm sit up here and wait for food.
That's what mine do. The only time that like my female, the only time she ever goes in her hide is when she's about to shed. Otherwise, she just sits at the top and waits every day for food.
I'm super excited. This is a male. It's not a she. It's a male. I forgot. It's a male. I do have to get a she at some point. Which will probably also come from Michael. He has some really pretty reddish colored ones. So that'll be what I get in the future. So anyways, that was this weekend.
That was our herp show. Next herp show is going to be the first weekend in June in Lafayette. You've got the 5th and 6th. And then the following weekend, the 11th and 12th, they will be in Conroe, Texas.
Yes.
June 25th and 26th, I believe, are the dates. They will be in Longview, Texas. And then I don't actually know July, except for Slidell at the end.
July, that's all. July 23rd. Oh. Well, July 23rd, 24th, Slidell.
Yep.
And then the Oklahoma City show is July 30th and 31st. And then Corpus Christi, August 13th and 14th. Bryan College Station, August 20th, 21st. And then back to Austin, Texas, August 27th and 28th. It was a good weekend. I got to see Corey Martin came by.
Oh,
so I got to see Corey.
I'm still slightly jealous of her.
What? From what?
Because she got to go see Hugh Jackman, first of all, in The Music Man in New York.
Oh, and then she went and saw.
And then she went and saw The Lion King in Austin.
It was in Austin
on
this weekend.
My list of shows to see.
Yeah, I saw a billboard going into Austin. Anyways, I got to see her. I got to see our buddy Joe Phelan. He came by. He bought a water dragon. You know, like the lizard that no one ever buys that you can get for like nothing at like PetSmart. He bought one, which is gonna be cool. He's gonna set it up. It'll be cool because this one will probably actually reach adulthood. I asked him, I was like, when's the last time anybody actually saw an adult water dragon?
I don't know the last time I saw a Chinese water dragon.
Yeah. So he got one.
I've seen multiple water dragons, but I don't think I've ever actually seen an adult.
No, I'm pretty sure most of them die in a 20-gallon somewhere.
And this is the first time that I'm
my kid,
realizing
they die in a
now
10-gallon.
that you said it, like now I realize, like, no, I've never seen an adult water dragon.
Yep. So he bought
a lot coming to rescue.
So he bought that, and then who else? I saw our friend Brett Bender. Brett Bender came by. I talked to Ari Flagel, who I'm gonna try to get on the podcast. He's the one that he's opening Reptilandia over in Johnson City, Texas, and he also wrote literally the book on Bolin's pythons, which is on my bookshelf back there.
I was about to say I recognize the name.
Yeah.
There's
so
a lot of nice books on snakes. Guess where I went this weekend and found nothing.
Where?
We haven't been in
It's not my fault.
Half price books.
It's not my fault. I haven't been there in a while.
Been in months.
I don't believe you.
I honestly, I haven't.
believe her.
Why? I don't.
You.
I'm not going unless she's going.
I'm the one that makes him go.
I definitely haven't been there.
All right, let's bring our guest in because I'm sure he would love to weigh in.
Let's bring in. So this guest is the one I like. So we drop the ball and get a guest, but I always know that if I contact this one, he'll be a great guest because he can talk about anything.
Because he's the best.
And I love having him on here. Let me bring him in.
It's nice to have intelligent conversations with people, and I get to have that with Bill. It's so great.
It's Bill.
This is good to know.
It's Bill Bradley.
It really is. Like I was telling Megan last night, I was like, "You're gonna love him. He's like one of the best people ever."
You weren't telling him last night. You were telling him this morning.
Yes.
Was that this morning?
Because I didn't know Bill was coming on until this
Really
morning.
this morning.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jeez Louise, I need sleep.
But I've subscribed to his podcast now. So
As you should.
Nice.
So is Bill Bradley of Cold Black Exotics and of Lizard Brain Radio. How's it going, Bill?
Subjakovich, and I have had an adult water dragon, and they're
Told
awesome.
you, because he's awesome.
I like him already.
I'm not surprised Bill had one. I'm just saying Bill's
Or that
one.
he could say your last name.
Bill's one adult water dragon is probably one versus 300,000 dead ones in a 10-gallon tank somewhere.
100%.
Let's replace James with Bill.
Bill already has a podcast. Can't do it. So.
Chris Eaton in our chat said that Robert lost some weight. Robert also got hot. So, I mean, there you go.
He grew his hair out
Those
too.
Words that have never been
Got
said about
hair.
Robert. Oh,
You're so mean.
me? Yes, I am. I said that to someone this weekend at the show. I said, if I'm mean to your face, it's probably because we're friends.
You literally
This is
told me
true.
that at the zoo.
Yeah, if I'm not mean to your face, because I'm probably not
Like, if
talking to you and I
he's
don't
being
like you.
nice to you, that's when you worry.
Oh no, if I'm
I don't talk to people I don't like.
comfortable enough to like shoot the shit with you, like, yeah. And by shoot the shit, I mean bullshit.
Thanks for the clarification on something we didn't need clarified.
You know what? Fuck off, James.
Anyways,
Let's get back to our guest. I like him better than you now anyway.
you don't even know Bill.
Yeah, I don't have to.
He could be a
knows-
complete
he can say-
asshole.
He can say my last name. And he already friended me on Facebook.
You know what? So can a bunch of
So-
Russians, and I'm not really fans of Russians right now. So.
Congratulations, Bill. I'm really funny. So,
So, speaking of Russians,
Oh, jeez. What are we about to look at? Whoa. What is that?
Oh, it's the Saint.
it's a St. Javelin t-shirt.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that he was lowering the
Not to get
camera.
super political.
I got really
No, it didn't go that far.
I was like, whoa.
Different javelin, different story.
New side. A new side.
I was
of
like, if
Bill.
you don't stop lowering that
Inappropriate
camera, we.
Yeah.
Whew. Anyways, so I'm just thrown off by that one. Let's do today's question.
We'll talk about Wiregrass Exotics first.
Oh, Wiregrass is
'Cause
they're
you-
here.
I know they are here.
I know. You threw me off because
I know. Well, we started
you
talking
made me
about
bring in Bill.
we started talking about books, and then I was like, we're having great conversation. We need Bill in here too. And anyways,
So yeah, if you are in the South Alabama, West Georgia, I was gonna say East, but what East Georgia too, North Florida, travel on over to Ozark, Alabama, and see our friends over at the Wiregrass Exotics Pet Shop. They got rattlesnakes. You can see rattlesnakes.
they do.
You have to talk into the microphone for people to actually hear you.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I also had to burp, so I had to lean way back for that.
we appreciate it.
Yep.
Anyways, so our question today, Megan came up with it, and it kind of fits for Bill because Bill.
Perfect.
I thought so. It was, how do you handle negativity towards the hobby, whether it's from people who are or aren't keepers? So I was going to go through, as usual, I'll go through our guests. We got a lot of quick replies to this one. And then
Thank goodness for our listeners, because we dropped the ball on asking the question this week too.
I didn't drop the ball. I got it up here, didn't I?
You did.
So I didn't drop the ball. It almost hit the ground, and then I knocked it back up. But let's go through our listeners and see how they react to them. And then we'll go through ours, because I think mine is going to be quite different than others. But our buddy Jason Miloradovich, who I'll give a shout out to. Let me pick up my book. This is my Easter present, my complete carpet python book, which came from Jason Miloradovich. Katie got it from him. So
Very
Yep.
nice.
yeah, and
I didn't get it from Half Price Books.
and in like 3 months it's going to be an
I would
antique.
Take a picture of this.
It-
I can look it up.
It'll be an antique in
Let's
about
say
3 months. The new one is coming
the
out.
new release is coming out.
It's
soon.
that-
the new
it's-
edition.
I can at least look it up and save it. So
Yeah.
when the new
And
one
apparently the
comes
new
out-
edition is like twice as thick.
Nice.
And I think it's going to make a lot of people really upset. So it'll be fun to talk about when it comes out.
Yes, they will probably reclassify some things,
Oh goodness.
and I think
So you'll have to read that one so you can talk about it.
no, I'll just let Bill read it,
You can skim it.
and then we'll get Bill on.
and then Bill,
and then
can
Bill
talk
give me the
about
Oh,
Cliff
no.
notes.
I think probably the day that it comes out, you can just get on Facebook and
Yeah.
you'll know exactly what people think pretty quick.
That's hilarious.
Are they going to finally say that all jungles and coastals are the same damn thing?
Reptile Book Club.
That's for Nick Mutton to say.
We just found a new podcast, Reptile Book Club.
Oh my God, that's a great idea. We should do that.
Oh, with what time?
I'm going to say
It's actually
Right.
my
when.
next charity idea.
Anyways, back to this question. I keep getting sidetracked. Go figure on this podcast. Jason Miloradovich said he handles it calmly. I try to explain or educate in a way to counter negative comments or ideas, but I've also learned that some people can't be reasoned with, which is true. and it's best to ignore and walk away rather than go down the rabbit hole into an argument where you won't be changing their minds anyway.
I think that's the most frustrating thing for me.
Not being able to change someone's mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's social media.
And simply because they've already made up their mind. And that's not just about reptiles, though. That's just about everything in life. Like
Key example, flat earthers exist.
I was raised to be very open-minded. Even if I didn't like something, I still had to be respectful of it. And people aren't raised that way anymore.
Yeah, you could have easily gone, people suck.
Well, I can't say that to a group of third graders.
I can say it to high school kids all the time.
Well,
I have kids all the time. I've had kids, do you like me? I'm like, don't ask questions you don't want the answer to.
you're so mean.
They don't want the real answer.
So mean. That's why I teach babies.
Someone the other day goes, he doesn't love us. I'm like, you're right. I don't love you. You're not my kid.
I told my kids today the bell had gone off and they were calling for bike riders. I was like, y'all better get it and go. Let's go. Love you, mean it. Get out.
I don't love you, mean it. Not my kids.
I have these conversations with my cats.
Yeah, you're fucking weird. Back to our question. Shelby Brown said sarcasm mainly is how she handles it. Other than that, ignore and move on. Those people aren't worth a whole lot of my time. Ryan Goslow said, if it's a fellow keeper, I'll either just ignore or block them if required, because I'm past getting into arguments in the hobby, and I've got better things to do with that than get into arguments. I'd much rather prefer to sit back and have a relaxed conversation about the animals, because that's what I'm more interested in. If it's someone who doesn't keep reptiles, I'll see if I can educate them or give them knowledge to at least get them to see where I'm coming from. But if they aren't open-minded, I'm just going to block them.
I've hit that point on some things as well.
I've got some friends on Facebook that I'm friends, but
I don't
you don't have to follow
their
them?
stuff. I unfollow them so I don't have to watch their.
So everyone out there, if you don't realize this, I feel like some people don't realize that's an option. You don't just have to like completely cut people out. You can just unfollow them, which means you just don't see their stuff.
Well, on Facebook, you can also click the 3 little dots and click follow. And so you don't have to type.
Do you have to put a period on a thing so that you're in the comment thread?
Yeah, you don't have to do all that.
Fucking hate people that don't understand that. Anyways, where was I? Daniel Cruz said, ignore them, block them on post. I've got some great friends who I've told them to piss off on my behalf. Nathan Holcomb says, I'm a troll by nature. Too easy to make a comment and piss somebody off. I am a troll.
You
we'll get
do
to that
as
later.
well.
I do it on. Anyways, John Feely said, let it roll off my back if they've lost their passion in the hobby. Oh, well, I hope they find it again, but not my problem. If they're outside the hobby, then 99% of the time, 99% of it is, I swear, John's stuff always confuses me the way. Outside the hobby, the 99% of it is a basis of fear. There we go. So a lot of little 2-letter words there back to back. Due to lack of knowledge, which is why education is so important.
Maybe I should start reading these.
You know what? I have to read tests to students next week.
Okay, well, let's
out loud.
Let's focus on
Good luck.
I've never done that. I'm not looking forward to it.
You poor thing.
I've never given a state test in my life. It's always been someone else give it. Anyways, Christian Parr said, depending on the level of negativity, sometimes I just ignore. But when I try to engage in the conversation, I try to understand their side of the argument first. Then I try and ask them questions to try, and that's a lot of tries, and pick apart their ideas or views, or to further understand their thoughts. I almost never explain my thoughts. Rather, I try to make them think about the topic a different way, and maybe they will change their outlook. Good luck with that. And then, Jesus Christ, I thought that is a long name.
You want me to read it?
Oh no, we're gonna figure this one.
Oh, she's gonna be our guest next week.
Yeah, I know, but I can't. I know that.
Eleniana?
Yeah, because she's gonna be on with.
There's
Gina.
700 letters in her name, though.
No, not really.
Eleniana.
Not just the first name.
Eleniana Grossenheider.
It's Eleniana Lee Grossenheider.
Grossenheider. Yeah.
I'll count the letters later. It's well over 20.
Just call
James
it
is
Laney.
struggling tonight.
Just Laney.
It's a lot.
Just Laney.
I also posted on Instagram because I'm with the cool kids.
I don't have an Instagram
I have Instagram.
or a TikTok.
I've actually had a few people contact
or
me
Twitter.
for relocations through Instagram. So I'm actually glad that I decided to go ahead and get one.
I use it because I have Simply Serpents. I have the snake business, and then we have the podcast. So I have.
There's apparently some other type of social media out there right now. My students asked me today if I had one.
Yeah, I won't be on whatever
I
that
don't
is.
even know what that is.
TikTok?
No, she knows TikTok.
Snapchat?
I don't have a TikTok.
Is Snapchat still a thing?
Yeah, apparently
It wasn't that because I know that one.
But I always felt like I was too old for TikTok or for Snapchat, even when it first came out.
That's just for showing
because
penises, right?
I'm just like an old lady.
Snapchat's just for showing penises.
It's a terrible
No.
platform.
I'm pretty sure it's just for showing penises.
I don't have
That was the whole
horrible.
purpose.
No.
And
So Lori Tarini, who does a lot of behavior studies, Says she ignores it and continues to share positive content, educational content, and always present our snakes to others in a positive and celebratory light. Merging Morphs, which is our buddy Robbie, says, I catch him outside. He says, I catch him outside. How about that? And he says, I haven't experienced very much negativity or trolls, but I try to post things that I know will lead to it. Try not to post things I know will lead to it. Buckner Crest Exotics. What?
There was a bug. I'm okay.
Okay. Jesus Christ. Thought something happened. I said the name and then you backed up like you knew who it was.
There was a bug. It flew in my face.
God. Buckner Crest Exotics, get off social media. Do give keyboard warriors your energy. I just think don't give keyboard warriors your energy, and don't feed the trolls. And then Reptile Entrepreneur, which is a great podcast.
I want that on a shirt.
I like
Don't feed the
trolls. If anybody's looking for a good podcast, if you're into the reptile business side of stuff, Reptile Entrepreneur podcast is a great one. He commented, it took me a while to develop a perspective that allowed me to let negativity roll off my back, especially when it comes from within the community you are trying to serve. It isn't easy, and I hope the content creator starting out can remember that for every vocal troll hater, there are 100 people quietly grateful for the efforts that they're giving, which is true. For every one person you hear bitch about your podcast or something you're doing, there are still tons of other ones that are happy you're doing it. They're just not voicing it. So,
all right. So, Bill, you have different platforms that you participate in the reptile community.
Yeah.
You are a keeper. You are a podcaster. You have children who are involved, but then you also do education programs as well.
Yes.
So not looking at the education program side, but just as you as a keeper and someone in this hobby, how do you handle it on that side of things? The negativity.
With a battle axe.
So I am a huge
Skinny
proponent.
Robert is allowed to talk. Sorry, I just saw that comment.
You just interrupted our guest.
I'm sorry.
This is why you're not going to be allowed back. Don't answer Chris Eaton. Chris Eaton doesn't get answers. Anything he types in the chat, you ignore.
Sorry, Chris. Sorry, Bill.
No, there's rules. You'll figure it out. It's okay.
I'm just gonna sit over here and sip on my Starbucks.
No, so like you guys were talking about just a second ago with the whole social media thing, I am a huge fan of, I do it and then I tell other people of curating your social media, of, picking who you'll follow, picking who you friend or unfriend, businesses you follow, and so on and so forth. So I actually don't see a ton of the negativity and stuff that folks bring up. I'm not in a bunch of Facebook groups. I have people in Facebook groups for species or for enclosure building or things like that will ask me questions, but I'm not actually in their groups. I just have a podcast or have a page or whatever, and I tell people like, yeah, you can ask me, it's cool, I don't care. And so it forces it to be individual. And so if you want to know about whatever, building with zoopoxy or whatever it is I'm doing, you would have to ask me on your own. Like, you're not going to find me in a Facebook group, make a post, and there's 75 comments and like half of them are idiots. I just don't do it. And so if I have found that I just put all my stuff out there, and if people are going to take the time to ask you about your stuff or to inquire or make a comment on your actual page or on a post that you made or things like that, those are usually constructive or real questions, not just like trolling type things. It's if you're in like big public groups that have, little to no moderation or what have you, that's where you get all of the people that are angry or they argue and all this other nonsense. You guys have one as well, but like some of the podcasts have Facebook groups and stuff like that, but they're usually way smaller just because our audiences by their very nature are smaller than your average 50,000 person Facebook group or whatever. Because it's usually people that know us and then in real life. And then as they slowly get to know people in their circle in your podcast or whatever, those groups are much more tight knit. And so you immediately moderate the nonsense out of it. And so at least on the social media side, I don't think it's hard to avoid most of the negative stuff. You just have to actively choose to. It kind of sucks for new people, because if you genuinely don't know these things and you need those Facebook groups or you need help with like legit stuff, you don't know how to set up an exoterra or whatever, you're kind of stuck because you had to wade into that crap to find the information you really did need. So it makes it difficult depending on your, not like experience level, but like experience as far as time goes, I guess. Like I've been in this long enough that I saw the forums go away and Facebook groups come in, and I knew what sucked about the forums, so I knew what was going to suck about Facebook groups, so I just didn't do it. Like I chose to abstain, I guess. Abstinence, kids, that's the answer. I don't know. Yeah.
So speaking of kids, because you have 2 teenagers, right?
3
teenagers. I can't remember if you had 2 or 3. Okay, so this is something I've actually talked with my daughter before. Have they ever had, that you know of, or that you can speak to, any negativity with like people at school, or sure. You're the weird one with, because I know your daughter's real into arachnids, so you're the weird,
and she looks like a boy.
I like her haircut, but
yeah, but
I could never pull it off, but it looks great on her.
Like she is that middle weird one, emo kid, has spiders. Like, yeah, for sure. Dude, my
how
son
do they handle that?
Like my son is 12 and he's my size and has long blonde hair. Like they're all sorts of nonsense, and he's a turtle nerd.
No, but his daughter enjoys being the weird one and like does it on purpose.
Yeah, she's a little more go to hell than your average kid, but
that was me in school. It just sand spiders because I'm like absolutely terrified of them. But
we'll fix that. Don't worry. Hang out for longer.
So at Tinley, they actually helped some friends of ours. She was also terrified of spiders, and just watching his daughter like talk to her about this animal.
Totally gonna knock that drink over.
No, I'm not. I talked to her about the animal and just like walk her through it all. It was very soothing.
Well, I catch and release them when they get in my house. Like my husband thinks I'm weird because I'll go walking through the house with a little Tupperware container, and he's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
"What kind of spiders come in your house?"
I get jumping spiders and wolf
we get spiders in our house.
I was thinking like tarantulas in your house. I'm like,
no. How did you jump straight to tarantulas?
Because that's what his daughter deals with, is tarantulas.
But that's not what she has roaming her house.
There's a jumping spider that lives in my breakfast area. His name's Hash Brown.
That's fabulous.
It's really cute.
Fucking nice.
That's so fabulous.
Anyway, sorry. Back to you, Bill.
No, the kid thing, man, that's it. It's different. I don't know, maybe it's not, but it seems different. Because it's such a huge part of what it's like it is our family life. Like we have a full facility 2 or 3 blocks from our house, right downtown in a town of like maybe 5,000 people. And so like it just, everybody knows, like it's, they've been going to shows and festivals and stuff since they were toddlers. It's just kind of their thing. And so they don't care as much if other people don't like it. They do have like my oldest daughter, as she got older, and it wasn't like the cool girly thing. And so she had a little bit of, I don't think I want to do that, or I don't know, or, whatever. But she's really into morph ball pythons because they're pretty. And so it didn't affect her as much because the part that she likes is pretty stuff.
Yeah.
And so that's never really changed. Like she's always been the girly one. She likes pretty stuff. And then we do reptiles and all this other stuff as a family. And so the part of it that she likes is the pretty stuff. And so it's way more personal, I guess, for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's, Walter is huge on all the turtles and stuff. And then he has a couple of snakes and things that he really likes to hold, but turtles are his jam. Indy has all these invertebrates, and now she's really skilled with all the plants and stuff. And so like they have a lot more ownership, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And so when they have like kids at school or whatever, think it's gross or think it's stupid or whatever kids say, I just think they're better able to respond to it because it's not, oh, your dad does all this weird stuff. Like they do it as well and they enjoy it and they're really educated on it.
Yeah.
And so if most of the people that are saying those negative things are ignorant in the literal sense of lacking knowledge, or have like cultural fear of snakes or spiders. And because they grew up way more educated in those subjects and in the sciences in general, they just approach it in a different way. And I don't know, they have a person like me as their dad, so I have no problem telling people that.
Our daughter had an issue because she gets very angry when people are not open-minded about things. And so like she had kids in her class.
I need people to understand that's not from me.
It's really not.
It's 100% from Kate. I may seem angry on here.
It's not.
But I'm really not.
It's definitely me.
Definitely
I'm
Kate.
working on it. Okay. I'm working on it. But she, that's just how she is. And she's
the great thing is for our
lovely.
kid and your kids is the actual hobby, the real reptile hobby has a built-in acceptance. Like, so your kids go to shows, there are tons of people at that show that are like them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
They are not the weird kid. They're not the weird person. There's a built-in community there that will back them up on everything.
And I'll be honest, I have always, my entire life, I've always felt like an outsider and the weird one.
Well, that you are.
I almost feel normal when I go do reptile stuff, though.
Well, that's been a
agree.
huge cultural thing, kind of in the States
Right.
as we've come on now.
Child
Anyway,
is just like
of
staring.
Because she heard us
Scared the
talking about
crap
her.
out of me.
But it's-
Heard and she's just there.
She's
But no, it's
she
like-
heard us talking about her. Now she's like, "What are they saying?"
it's
Some people
okay,
feel.
or more okay now, I guess, to be a
Mhm.
geek about whatever it is you're a geek about, because like that is the one, what people thought social media was going to do for us and help with connectivity and the internet and all that great stuff. Like that is one of the ways that really did do that. Like there's a bunch of negatives and crappy parts too, but like we go to the Comic-Con and do some charity stuff, and everybody there is a geek about some thing, anime or comics or cosplay or whatever. And there's just like 25,000 of them in one building. And so like nobody there is going to make fun of you because they're all their high school nerd too. And so but everything has that. If you're some car nerd or a motorcycle nerd or a comic nerd or a lizard nerd or whatever, like it just made it easier to find those people. And so when you had those ones and twos in your hometown social group or school or church or whatever that were like, snakes are weird, you stupid kid with purple hair. Like it was so much easier to be like, cool, I just won't talk to that person ever again. And I'll go, I'll go to the NARBC with the other 12,000 purple hair people and the snakes, and then I'm good,
Well, what's funny about that is, so you go to a show and I'm going to use your kid as an example. You've got this weird kid with the spiders and colored hair, and they can sit there and talk to this person who's a lawyer or a doctor, and would from what everybody else would see as a normal person, because our hobby, those people wouldn't normally see each other as equals, but because they come into the hobby, they do, and they connect on a completely different level. Because there's definitely people that we hang out with at our reptile shows that outside of the reptile hobby, I probably never would have given them a second thought. I'd think I'm not hanging out. That person's too fucking weird. But because of the hobby, one, we got to know each other better. And I may still disagree on a lot of things. I love Andy Heim, but I disagree with most of the shit that he wears. But it's okay. I still love the guy. So, I mean, that's one thing that I think this hobby does. And we'll talk about the negativity, but there's a lot of positives about it.
It provides a common ground for a lot of us, though.
Social media is not the place to go to find the great positives.
Mm-mm.
You'd lose a lot of human connection through social media. You need to go find people. That's why you need to go to shows. You need to go to herping events. You need to go to stuff and find people like you, because it's hard to get that across a computer screen.
It's really.
I will say though, like in my case, because a lot of people that know me think that this is weird when I say this, but I'm not an extroverted person. I am very much introverted.
As is like 90% of the hobby until we get around each other.
Well, but here's the thing. Like I have been able to meet and make as many friends as I have in the hobby specifically because of social media. I mean, if it weren't for social media, I wouldn't know about a lot of these things. And I wouldn't have met a lot of people that I have. I mean, shit, Lainey and I wound up becoming friends because of social media. I wound up getting a bull snake from her. And when I met her, we sat there talking for like 2 hours. The first time that we met, had it not been for social media, like that connection, never would have been made. But I'm also extremely picky about my social media. I'm part of a lot of groups, but I'm active in very, very few of them for a lot of the reasons that Bill mentioned, is that most of them are absolute bullshit.
Because they're not really filled with reptile people.
No, they're not. Crested Geckos USA, anyone?
Part of that group.
They're filled with people who may have a reptile, but they're not the same kind of. They're not really in the hobby.
Yeah,
they're pet keepers, not hobbyists.
And Facebook makes it easy to join those groups. It's super easy just to be in them. And it's a different kind of person.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely took me some time to weed out the crap groups and the, okay, these are the quality groups that I want to stick to and everything.
Usually if they have 25,000 people in it, it's a pretty shitty group. Like, it seems like the reverse. You'd be like, there's a bunch of people here. It must be a great group. But usually those are the groups that just have tons of people who just want to sit there and argue about everything.
For the most part, that is the one thing about Female Herp Group that like we're trying really hard to not let happen, because this group has been around for less than 2 years. And we're already I joined when there were less than 1,000 members. We have over 11,000 members now in such a short amount of time. And that's one thing that we have definitely made it a point, as the admin team, is to make sure that we're keeping out that bullshit, that by the time that we reach, 20, 30,000 members, we don't turn into a giant clusterfuck like Dog Spotting Society or something like that.
See, but what you're talking about is culture. Like you are literally curating a culture, and or at least I think, on social media, that is a lot easier to do. It's like a homeowners association, right? It seems like a great idea, and then you get that one person on that likes to measure grass or whatever. And
hey, James did that once.
I didn't.
But then it sucks. And everybody, like, there's a reason that in the United States that's a joke. Everybody understood that joke.
Yeah.
Anybody who will listen to this podcast that is an adult will get why that joke was funny, right? Like, it's just an accepted thing. What you're talking about for curating your Facebook group is the exact same thing. And the personalities of your admin group will dictate that. Like, if you all were a bunch of grass measurers, your group would be awful. And there would be no way to fix it.
No, you're completely right.
because the personality trends of the culture you have made are that.
Absolutely.
But if your admin group has the personality culture, like the folks who hang out for herp stuff and hang out in the Reptile Gumbo circle, the people, and I say this on my podcast all the time, the people that I end up interviewing, and the people that I talk to in the THN circle or the Gumbo circle or the NPR circle, like, so far, none of them suck. That realistically should almost be impossible.
Yeah.
Because you always meet some people that just suck, right? Like, that's what happens.
Yeah.
But because of the way it's been curated, like, this isn't a social group where we're going to hang out together at the bar that we all always go to. And then it turns out Katie's cousin, who always comes, is kind of a dipshit, but we don't want to say anything because it's Katie's cousin. And so we all just hang out, and then there's that dipshit.
Yeah.
Like, that's not this.
I got a few of those.
But this is a Facebook group where you're like, no, you're an idiot. Gone. Like, you literally can curate it to the point where we don't have those people.
And every now and then when one slips in, we can very quickly remove them from that circle.
And I honest to God, like, all the people I've messaged to talk to about interviews, all the group chats and stuff that I'm in, there aren't any toxic people, because it's very self-policing. For someone to even invite you to that group, the person who's inviting you, we already know is not a toxic person. And so it's a very strong likelihood your friend would not be as well. And then when they get it in the group, because it's a small group, it self-regulates.
Yeah, so the hobby kind of fixes it. It's a lot like we know the shit breeders out there. It doesn't take long for someone who's a bad breeder to make the rounds and everybody know, okay, don't buy from them.
I think it's
and they work their way out of the hobby.
I mean, this is such a close community, closer than a lot of people realize too. I mean, there's thousands of reptile keepers all around the world, but you know, of that amount of people, you would think that it wouldn't be as close knit as it actually is, but everyone, at least the people who have been in it and are very serious about it anyway, you know, we're all pretty closely connected, and so we're able to kind of weed out the crap.
Well, yeah, the crap people end up going by the wayside.
Mm-hmm.
And we talk about being such a big community when it seems that way, but in reality, and I've talked about before, we're really a small community in the grand scheme of communities. I mean, if you go to
100%.
Dog groups or car groups or gun groups, we are so much smaller than them. And just to make the point that how small it is, it would seem you would not think that I would, you know, be friends with Bill or be friends with someone that's in California or friends with someone in Philadelphia. But like, because of the way social media works and because we all run in the same very small circle in reality, and you can see that by every time you add a new reptile person as a friend on Facebook.
It's like 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon.
There's like 40 something people that are friends with him that you're also friends with, because in reality, it is such a small circle. And I think a lot of that helps keep out the crap, because those people that are not, that we're talking about, the ones that are just pure drama, they're not going to be in the circles because they're not real reptile people. They're, like I said, they bought a ball python or they bought a crested gecko, and now they think they're a reptile person until they realize that they're really not. And we all ignore them and they go away. The problem is Facebook allows them to stay there. Social media allows them to keep popping back up unless you purposefully block them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more willing. I don't generally like to accept friend requests from people that I've never met, but I'm more willing to connect with somebody I've never met before if we have certain mutual friends in common, because I'm like, and sometimes I'll even go to those people and say, hey, you know, how well do you actually know this person? Am I going to regret, you know, accepting their friend request? You know, by and large, I see certain names pop up and I'm like, okay, this person is probably somebody that's okay.
Now, I will say the one negative to what we're talking about is the fact that you're curating your own social media. You are, by the way it's happening, ignoring other things that are happening in the hobby, because you're not a part of them. So it's like it's like when someone is, say, pro whatever political side they want to be, right? They're going to end up blocking out the people that aren't pro their side. And so eventually their truth becomes everything they see, and they're only seeing one side of every story.
Chamber.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so
for me, well, I was gonna say, for me, I think it would depend, because I'm never opposed to somebody who may have a different opinion on something that I am, but depending on how you approach that topic depends on whether or not I'm going to connect with you. If you're somebody who can, you know, have a good conversation about it, and whatever you're saying can be backed up with evidence, and you're open-minded and able to have a civil conversation, whether it's about reptiles or anything, I don't care, by and large, what some of our disagreements might be.
That's not the general public.
I know that's not the general public, but they're out there.
That's one of the reasons that the four of us get along as well as we do, because we all feel that way.
You're right, though.
But like I said, if you only surround yourself with people that believe just like you will believe that is the only way to think.
Oh, absolutely.
I can get behind
and that. So let's take this something in the hobby. Look, I keep stuff in racks, and I don't care how many people want to badmouth racks. But if I only surrounded myself with people that, if I only surrounded myself with people that kept in racks, then I would start to firmly believe the argument that this is the best way to keep them, and everybody else is stupid. But I know people on both sides, and I'm also educated, unlike most people that just shut themselves off. But I get that there are better ways I could do it. I mean, I'm not going to, because I'm a horrible person and I want to own more than 10 snakes, and I can because I have a rack, so fuck off. But I do understand both sides to the argument, because I have people on both sides. So in the hobby, you see people that, especially when advice is given in groups, you can find those people who have only learned one thing, and they've only surrounded themselves with the people that learned that one thing, and that is the only way to do it from that point on, you know? And so that is another problem. If you don't reach out and have a broad group of people in the hobby, you can come very one-sided on certain issues and not know more.
So it's interesting that you bring that up. So a friend of mine from college reached out to me about a month or so ago. She's getting a snake for her classroom. The snake's name is Twizzler. It's a corn snake. It's actually full grown. She got it from someone else. But she messaged me and she was like, hey, I've joined groups on Facebook. And I was like, okay, first problem, remove yourself from all of those. I'm going to personally add you to a few groups on Facebook. This is where you can get your information from. And so she would ask me, like, what do you recommend for this? And I would give her 3 or 4 options. What do you recommend for this? And I'd give her, and I'd always start with, this is what works for me, but I know people who do it this way, this way, this way. And she laughed. And at one point, and she's like, well, can't you just tell me how to do it? I was like, no, because you've got to decide what works best for you. Do you want to go the more expensive route because it's in your classroom? Or do you want to go to the Dollar Tree and buy a little bowl that you can use for the water because it doesn't look cute and it doesn't matter? Like, you decide how you want to do this. And she made the comment. She was like, man, those few groups that I was in were not that way. It was, you have to do it this way. And then the next person was, no, you have to do it this way. I was like, no, all of this will work. Pick what works best for you.
Once again, the only thing we can all agree on
Heat rocks.
is that heat rocks and reptile carpet are trash. If you think that they're not, that is how I base my opinion on whether or not we can be friends. I draw the line at reptile carpet.
When I get judgy.
So I have always described our hobby as a hobby. And to me, I think of it as an artistic hobby. And the example I've used like a million times is if you carve wood with your grandpa, right?
I just heard you on a podcast say this exact
I just said it. But here's why, though. So we started as a kid, whittle, do whatever. By the time you are a grandpa, you're probably an artisan woodworker. You're no longer an amateur, even though you don't make your living at it. Having that frame of mind is what allows you to offer that person multiple options, because it's an entirely different mindset. You can only do it this way. You can only do it that way. Neither of those is true. And if all of us are people who are like-minded to the way that we are, we know that. I know that that's not true. Like, I know you can use a rack. I know you can build giant enclosures like I do. I know you can do 17 things in between there. I've done all of them. I know that is true. But if you don't have that kind of mind, you're going to really struggle with that. And then when you get into those social media situations and you literally get a poll, that's what everybody loves, polls. A or B. I hate that.
Yeah.
It's always C. I don't care what it is. Like,
yeah,
that's not true. A or B. It can't be A or B. There's probably both for some, and especially with what we do, it does feel more art than science, because I know like UV. Everybody hates UV. They're really expensive. You got to have them or you're a sinner and all this other crap. I know that that's not true, because I'm a big lizard nerd. Frank Reitz and Mike Stefani are 2 of the most successful reptile keepers as far as monitors are concerned in the history of keeping reptiles, period. That you can't even argue that. And they don't use that crap. I don't agree with using the lights that way. I think we should use UV, but I know for a fact that dude's bred every species in the Varanus genus, and I haven't. So maybe
something's working for him.
Like, you know, but I have the wherewithal to be like, man, I really think we should use UV. I like full spectrum lighting, and this is what I do, and I do some different things. But you can't sit there and say that Frank Reitz is an idiot. Like, that's impossible. And so, like, I do it with my kids all the time. Oh, it's this, and it's that. And I'm like, well, both things can be true. Like, it doesn't mean you're wrong. You're both right. In this situation, Walter is right. And in that situation, Indy was right. Like, both of those things are true. But if you don't have mental flexibility, I don't know what the hell to call being artistic.
I think that's a great way to put it, the mental flexibility.
it makes it very difficult. And you can see how people fall into it. Oh, it's got to be bioactive because I saw all these positive things. Oh, it's got to be this because I saw all these positive things. And it's very simple. A or B. Are you a sterile person or a bioactive person? Because the other side sucks. So don't be that. And that's easy. Like, hell yeah, I'm sterile. Screw bioactive people. All right, cool. Just do it forever because it works. All right, cool. Because you're not going to get proven wrong. You're not going to kill a bunch of green tree pythons having them sterile. It works. That's great. And then that one guy that has a bunch of orchids and stuff, what a moron. But then if all you do is raise orchids and green snakes, and you're like, oh, you puppy pad sons of bitches. Well, you're not killing green snakes either. You're doing great. So you always think the puppy pad people are idiots. Like, well, maybe you're both right. Like, that's
because you are allowed to have more than one right way to do something.
Sure.
This is a daily struggle in my third grade classroom.
There's more than one way to skin a cat. And the lesson there is we should skin cats.
No.
That's what I took away from
But there's a reason that things like that have persisted. Why?
Mm-hmm.
It's the exact same thing as a homeowner's joke. Why will every adult who listened to this podcast understand what you just said? There's more than one way to skin a cat. There's a reason you all know what that means. It's a universal truth. It just is.
I've heard on several podcasts, when people talk about breeders selling animals and, the breeders tell people how to keep them the way they keep them. I don't do look, I keep the majority of my stuff in racks because the majority of my stuff is smaller Sambos and stuff, and they live in racks. But when I'm selling someone a pet Sandboa, I'm not going, all right, what you need is you need to get a plastic tub, no lights. Make sure you put it in the corner of a room, stack 15 more plastic tubs on top of there, and then ignore them. Just to go ahead and ignore them. They'll be fine. I'm telling them how to set up their pet, and then I give them all the ideas. I give a care sheet. It doesn't say put them in a rack. It doesn't say put them in. It just gives you the basic necessities this animal needs, and there's a million ways they can set them up.
I don't think I've ever been given anything like that by a breeder.
His are
for the ones that I've gotten from
I have a full-on care sheet.
He has a full color copy. It's a full page for
it's 2 pages front and back.
2 pages front and back. It's for everything he sells. It's colored. It's beautiful.
Fancy.
It really is beautiful.
I don't want Sandboas, but if I ever decide to get one,
I need to make one for my rainbow boas. I have it for Sandboas. I have it for boa constrictors. I haven't done the rainbow boa one yet. But
I just got a male Saharan to go with my girl.
That's awesome. I'm waiting to get captive bred ones. As soon as I get captive bred ones, I'll be good. I had one captive bred one and it died a week after I got it. And I don't know what happened.
That stinks.
It was very sad.
But I think I have some captive bred one coming.
Okay, so I want to shift now. So we've been talking about how we feel about the negativity as hobbyists.
Okay.
But now I want to shift to the educational side.
Well, hold on. I want to talk about how I handle it, because there's some things I've seen. So
you are a troll, and that's how you handle everything.
So I see a lot of folks that have to take breaks from social media. They can't handle it. My brain doesn't understand that concept. I have a very easy. If I enjoy some of the arguments I get into, especially when I know I'm not wrong. I really enjoy those arguments.
And this is where the side everybody knows and most likely loves about James.
But I also have the ability for that not to
affect
my personal life.
I don't.
Once I put my phone down, fuck it. I'll get back to my phone so I can piss off this person some more. But whatever. I'm not. It doesn't affect me. There's not this whole social media is ruining my life.
That's your personality, though.
I guess.
Because I can't do that. I'm like, this person pissed me off, and I don't look at my phone for 24 hours.
But at the same time as I do that, it pisses me off to watch people get torn apart for something that it doesn't need to happen. So someone posted a picture of a big sulcata in a black tub, and it had torn the tub up and it broke it in half. They had brought the sulcata in for a couple of days. So they got cold. They obviously weren't ready for that. And they put this big 80-pound, 100-pound tortoise in a black tub and it broke the tub. The amount of people that replied with, that is animal cruelty. You should have all of your animals taken away from you. You are a horrible human being. I'm like, how about you shut the fuck up?
Don't look in my place.
I'm like,
it's cold here right now.
I've put tortoises in the tub. And look, the tortoise couldn't move around. It was in there. But look, I get it. It was a temporary thing. This tortoise looked fine. It was not living in this tub for a month. It was there for 2 days of cold. And then
people would have been pissed then when they saw where I stuck my adult redfoot during when we had the freeze. Well, the freeze for a few days, and then anytime that we've had like, hurricane
Yeah.
weather, I've got one thing that I move them into for like several months when it's cold. But I'm like, if it's just for like a day or two, you know what? You'll be fine in this box in my garage.
But I was like, all of this
during emergencies of how to just box up all your crap.
Yeah.
And
I feel like a lot of us have.
We talked about this.
Yes. And it amazed me the amount of people calling this person a horrible human being. They should have all their animals taken away from them. And then the other suggestion, I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? You should just let it free roam your house. What the fuck? All right.
Clearly,
I own
never.
It's gross. It's gross, Bill, and we're friends. I'm gonna tell you,
it was like
gross.
a day, and it was really funny.
I've seen them shit. I've seen them piss.
I was gonna say,
I'm not letting it happen to my house.
It is gross.
And then I've seen the pictures of them going through a wall. I've seen the pictures of them tearing a toilet off the mount.
Toilet off the floor. That was what I was like. We're done. It's never coming in the house.
But Bill, it's different. It's different for you to do it than for someone who's never really experienced, like, who thinks of that tortoise as a dog. Right.
True.
You're not thinking of that. You're not thinking of it as a dog. You know full well all the things that can happen by letting this tortoise roam your house. Right.
Yeah. And like I said, it was same idea of it was, like now it's springtime, but then it dropped to the 30s and it was like, oh, hurry up, get him in.
Yeah.
I just set him in the dining room. Like, I don't care. I'll mop it up or whatever,
Yeah.
Not like they don't permanently free roam.
Yeah. But these people are like, just let it roam the house. I'm like, there's so much that can happen there. That's also,
those are the same people that when they find out we have X number of snakes, you just let that many snakes roam your house. I'm like, no, you idiots.
Yes.
What
yes,
is
they
wrong
are.
with you? They all have cages. Come on.
That's also the same people that
think I have people that won't come in the shop for the same reason. They think the stuff's just in there.
Yeah. Like, come on, y'all.
But so as far as that negativity bothers me, because that negativity is not what that person needed at that moment. And so I'm not one to go in and tear someone for that. Look, I've posted pictures of my tortoises before, and I've got one they're all basically rescues, but I've got one that looks pretty fucked up.
He's a special needs.
He's looked fucked up since I got him. It's not my fault, but I've posted pictures of them eating in the yard. And this last time I didn't actually get comments, but usually I'll get, what is wrong with your tortoise? Why would you let it? I'm like, whoa. It was like that when I got it. Like, I asked some questions before you start jumping down someone's throat on things.
Actually, it looks a lot better than when we got him.
He does look better now.
You're asking a lot of people if you want them to ask questions before they jump down someone's throat.
So that's the negativity I have. But again, a lot of those comments, those negative comments, are not coming from long-term reptile people. Because so many of the long-term reptile people I know are like Bill. They're not in those groups or they're not commenting. But I've seen situations where some of the big name people have commented. And then someone jumps in and tears them apart. I'm like,
well, it's like when our friend Dr. Travis Wyman posted
that
somebody.
He doesn't know anything about genetics.
Him or Warren Booth.
Warren Booth. Those are my favorite. When like Robert or James, one of them will see something and they'll get tickled, and then they'll like message all of us in our little group chat we have, and they're like, "Look at this idiot!" And then I get screenshots. See, that's why I don't have to join the groups. They'll just screenshot me whatever's happening so that I know about the drama, because they're like, "We're going to talk about this on the podcast."
But see, like that's the negativity that's coming from non-reptile hobby people,
and it all goes back to being educated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Look at you.
That
I
kind
love
of
these
stuff
conversations.
Well, you guys are in the education field.
Unfortunately,
are you familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect?
Yes.
Right. So you're so ignorant that you aren't able to grasp the concept of your lack of knowledge.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I like to talk to as kids that they've been lazy so long that they are now dumb.
Literally
like,
every person.
They can't help it. They've been so lazy that they got passed and now they are dumb.
Every person
the
who
group
tries to
passed
tell me
them
what a
up
cottonmouth
so
is.
much.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, cut her off. It's fine.
One of my she's closer to you tonight. She might hit
Skinny
you.
Robert can talk too.
Not if I press the mute button.
One of my favorite videos to show when I taught 5th grade it's a video of people. They're in a mall. I know it's a foreign concept, but they're in a mall and they're on an escalator, and suddenly the escalator breaks down and they start panicking because they are stuck on an escalator. that has stopped.
Wait, it's an escalator, not an elevator?
Yes.
It's an escalator.
Because
It's an
people,
awesome
Because when
video.
it stops, what do they become?
they're stairs, but people don't understand they're stairs because they've
And
always been an
so
escalator.
They freak out. And then like you literally see this person like walking down the one that was supposed to be going down instead of because they're going up. And so the one next to it is coming down. And then like it shows somebody walking after they have like completely freaked out. And my 5th graders after the video, they're like, that was the stupidest thing. I'm like, but how many of you have ever freaked out unnecessarily over
Mob
something?
mentality.
And that's exactly what it is. And it's my
thing.
it's my favorite video to show. I actually showed it to my 3rd graders last week. And I was like,
It also
"Don't."
shows a lack of critical thinking skills, which a lot of this comes from. A lot of these
Yes.
problems come from a lack of the ability to have critical thinking skills. So when something changes, if it's not the way it always has been, they can't figure it out.
Well, and there's another video similar where there's somebody who's like trying to get them to listen to them and calm down and explain to them they could just walk up the escalator as it's broken, but they don't want anything to do with that.
Which is what you see in these groups when someone says you're supposed to keep boa constrictors at 95 degrees because that's what they heard one time. And then someone says, well, here's what we now know. And there's this. They can't comprehend the fact that something could be different than the one thing they learned that one time.
I was going to say every snake post on Nextdoor. It's just, when it comes up, it's just, oh, this is going to be a dumpster fire.
So I don't think we explained that to Bill before. So Megan actually is in charge of basically a snake removal
Group on Facebook.
Facebook here in the area. And that's how we all got to know her, because it got to the point where if she couldn't go out to the call, then Robert could, or we could, to go out and help people.
And I've got more on the schedule this year. Last year, I started doing some local classes with an emphasis on native snakes. That's my thing, is native snakes specifically. But yeah, that's how we wound up connecting. They came to my first class.
Yeah.
And I decided they were okay. Like Katie came and I was like, oh, I like her.
I say that's typically how this works in our relationship.
Okay
James did bring me snakes.
I say,
some snakes to use because I have more now. People keep asking me how many I have, and I'm like, that's not relevant.
Yeah, people always ask me how many I have. I'm like, over 100. I don't count, especially during baby season. I don't count.
More snakes than I have fingers on my hands.
There you go. You're getting up there in numbers.
But yeah, so between the relocation and the education part, it's it gets interesting.
It's a ton of cottonmouth pictures of water snakes and
water snakes. It's like 9 out of 10 times it's not a cottonmouth. Did get one yesterday, which was super pretty. Thankfully, they just let him kind of
be
on their way. Yeah, actually, it was a cottonmouth. And that racer, I'm still mad about that. But one of my neighbors got a yellow belly racer in their yard, and I just wanted to die because I never see them.
I've never seen one.
I never see them. So
surprised
jealous.
you didn't just like knock on their door and be like, please let me in your backyard.
I don't have this person's address. I know what section they live in, but I don't actually know which one is their house. Because trust me, I would have showed up.
Start running up and down the road. Do you have a snake in your yard? Do you have a snake in your yard? Do you have a snake?
Yeah. But I mean, just like the week before last, while we were doing this podcast, little did I know that there was some shit going down in my own group. A troll
Robert
managed to sneak through that I was not aware of. And he started posting some crap in my group about how I'm an idiot for wanting to save cottonmouths and they're going to kill me one day. And
Robert got on there and had fun.
It was like a whole thing. I know. James was so disappointed. I took screenshots though.
It was a lot of fun.
But then I deleted it and I deleted him.
See, again, I enjoy those situations when I know I'm right. And I can get it.
See, I enjoy those situations when somebody is trying to correct me on an ID. It's usually somebody who's trying to explain to me why that snake is definitely a cottonmouth when it's definitely not.
I just wanted to throw out the person in our chat that said they were thinking about getting Samboas. You should definitely get Samboas. Their name is Sea Anal Side Exotics.
No, sir. Absolutely not. You fix that now.
I didn't name their business.
Yeah, I feel like that's pretty accurate.
Sea Anal Side Exotics. I don't. What do you think it is?
We're teaching here. This is phonetics, okay?
I know we've already talked about phonetics, and I'm
All right. So is the C does it have an S sound? So it's anal side exotics.
I don't know why I keep coming back.
Well,
I don't know.
Because of me. You come back because of me.
It's true. It's true.
whatever side they want anal on,
Oh,
they should definitely get sand boas.
Okay. Anyway.
good thing the camera is not closer.
So somebody was mansplaining to you about.
I get a lot of. So
I just can't imagine when you
live-
show up, it's got to be bad. They're like, oh, where's the actual person that's going to remove snakes?
So okay, no, but you're not wrong though.
Oh, I know.
Because, so, Bill, the county that we live in, it is a very large county, but it is a very rural. Just to make James feel a little bit better about
Rural.
my pronunciation over
I
here.
sound
Rural.
all kinds of six shades of hick when I say it.
It's a very good old boy mentality kind of county.
Sure.
So there's a lot of people here who have, lived in the country for 50 years, catching water mocks that jumped out of the tree after them in their grandpa's uncle's second cousin's boat while they were fishing.
Well, because then they fell into that whole nest of cottonmouths.
Yeah, they did. And then they tried to run, but like they all came after them, and it just it was bad.
Because it chased.
So that's the kind of county that we live in. And I love my neighbors. I love my friends here. I really do. But we got some stupid sons of bitches that I have to deal with. And I do. I get a lot of guys.
But with that said, at least they are contacting you to come remove them.
They are. I was very surprised at how, I guess, the positive response that I've gotten since.
So one thing I think
this.
is helping you is the area where all this stuff is built is rural, but the people moving into it are not.
Yeah.
So they are not the
think,
shoot it kind of snake kind of people. They're the someone else take care of this problem kind of people.
I do get contacted by a lot of people that do live out in the country though. And I mean, you still have your people that it's picking your battles is something that I have really grown to appreciate as I've gotten older. 21-year-old Megan was definitely more likely to be more combative with people. And if I was very passionate about something and you were being a jerk, I was going to be more likely to argue with you about it. And as I've gotten older, I just don't.
But it's so much fun.
It's just for me, like, for example, I get a lot of calls for glue traps, and a lot of people's, knee-jerk response to that is to start berating the person using the glue trap. And don't get me wrong, I want to throat punch people who use them. But I don't reach anybody by being an asshole to them or, jumping down their throats over why what they've done is wrong. I had somebody a couple of weeks ago who sent me a picture of a snake that they were told was a copperhead, and so they killed it. It wasn't a copperhead; it was a western rat snake.
They're so similar.
But I was able to take that moment and educate this person, and then by the end of it, they understood what they had done wrong. They felt bad about it, which I mean, secretly, yeah, like good. You should feel bad about it. You killed a snake. But it was a really good teachable moment, and you can't educate people if you're a jerk to them. Sometimes people deserve it. And there's definitely moments where I'm just like, you know what? You're not worth my fucking time. Shut up, go away. And I'm going to shut you down. Like the guy in the group, he was one of those, he wasn't there because he wanted to.
He was there to be a dick.
He was there to be an asshole.
But
and I don't have time for those
so
people.
when talking about negativity and talking about education, Bill does this regularly, has to deal with giving educational outreach programs. I'm sure there are a lot of times where you have to take negativity and try and turn it into a positive instead of going, well, you're a fucking idiot.
So, yes. Well, yeah, for sure. But, okay. So I have a theory on quite a bit of this that people probably aren't going to like, and I don't really care. Especially when you talk about rural. That always gets me. Okay. People talk about, rednecks kill snakes, whatever. Stereotypically, statistically, true. Okay. However, I think that is one, willful ignorance, typically, or the one that people don't really want to address is to be casually callous, is how I think of it. So you're a rural person, okay? You don't live in the city. You live out in the sticks and farm, and you got animals and X, Y, and all this other. You're self-sufficient, big truck, and guns, and whatever else. That you probably look like me, okay? There's no way that you live that life and you don't know that snakes are good for the environment.
100%.
That you don't know that rattlesnakes take care of rodents. That there is no way. There isn't. Because every hunting group that I'm in are real concerned conservationists. That's why they only want to kill the big deer.
And the bad snakes.
Well, hey, if you're so educated on conservation that you can tell me what kind of grass quail and pheasant need, and you didn't read the snake chapter in the book, that's a you problem.
Yep.
Yeah.
You did that. And I don't believe that for a second. You absolutely know what you're doing. It's just the easiest thing to do, and you don't care. Just say that. Like, I use glue traps because they're cheap and easy, and I don't really give a shit about snakes. All right. That's ethically, I disagree. Logically, I already knew that. You're not a nice person. Move on. Don't try to fake it. Don't be a Christmas and Easter Christian. Go to church or don't. I don't care. It's not my thing. Like, I like snakes and you don't. Use glue traps, shoot them, do whatever it is you do. I disagree. When you come to ask me for help, or you cut its head off with a shovel or whatever, don't be surprised when I hit you with a shovel. Like, you're ignorant. But
they're not. That's the problem. They're not ignorant. Ignorant would mean a lack of knowing. They know.
Yes, you're ignorant in the insulting way, not the literal sense.
It's very hard in 2022 to be ignorant about a lot of stuff. At this point, if you don't know something,
the information.
You've made an effort to not learn about things.
Yes,
and you've been okay with the idea of being dumb.
So it's funny that you brought up hunting camps. My dad was president of his hunting camp in South Alabama for a very long time, many, many years. And one of the first things he would do on his tour of the grounds was take them to their shed where they kept all the feed and seeds and things like that. And he would be like, the corn snake over there, I forget what is, because he named it. And he was like, we don't mess with him. He eats all the mice. And there's a snake that lives in this back corner, and you don't shoot my snakes when you're in here. My dad was one of the most terrified individuals when it came to snakes, but he knew that those were corn snakes.
Yeah.
They were fine. And he would tell the guys that joined the club, if you see one that looks like this, and he'd show them a speckled king snake, you better not kill it, or then you're going to have to deal with me, because they keep the bad ones away and our kids play.
Well, he was also in charge of having Auburn come out and release indigos on there to try and bring back indigos.
Yeah. So that was probably one of the coolest things about him. And I wish I would have gotten to ask him more questions about that before he passed. But the man was terrified of snakes.
But understood.
He knew we needed them for the environment.
I mean, that's the way that I am with spiders. And bugs in general. We've had
we
this
don't need cockroaches.
We've had this conversation before.
You haven't heard Teresa's cleaning up the world speech, man. She loves cockroaches.
I'm terrified of bugs. I am. I will go pick up a cottonmouth any day safely, not free handling.
Just free handle. That's one. Look, that's one thing the internet has taught me.
We're not pulling the ball
free
python thing. But I'm terrified of bugs. But I swear to God, I've told my neighbors, if you find like a black widow or something in your garage, please don't kill it. I was like, I'll come save it.
I love she's like, kill all the bugs except for the really cool ones.
No, I haven't said kill all the bugs unless you're like a tick in my house or a roach in my house. That I draw the line there.
Like I said before, my line is clothes related.
Or
the less clothes I have on, the more likely I am to kill it.
Mosquitoes.
If I'm naked in my bathroom, sorry, spider, you're in the wrong fucking place. I can't help you, man. But if I'm fully clothed, you're probably going outside. So it's a measure of how much their timing. They need to stay hidden until I'm dressed.
My husband thinks I'm crazy now. I pulled a spider out of our bathtub the other night, but I didn't actually like have anything to scoop him up in. So I just had like a little piece of cardboard that I tore off of.
Did you play the little game where you move the cardboard around as it rounds?
He kept trying to like jump off onto the floor, and then at one point I lost him, and I started to freak out, and it was like a whole thing. It's the only reason I even remotely understand people's fear of snakes, because I
fully understand the irrational fear of snakes. I don't understand, I guess because it's irrational, it's hard to. I don't understand some of the fear. I don't understand the being in the same room causes you to freak the fuck out to a point that you can't function.
But look at how we were when we started dating. I was the same way. I wouldn't even go in the room that your rainbow boa was in because he scared me.
But you made a concentrated effort to overcome that.
Because I needed to learn about that was where my fear
I'm talking like when I worked at the zoo and teachers would bring their kids to the school, send them in one door to the snake house and meet them on the other side and not even walk through the snake house with their students who they are there to educate.
I've had people who would not send me a picture of the snake they wanted me to come get because they were so afraid to get even remotely within the vicinity of the snake that they couldn't bring themselves to take a picture. I mean, well, this is like a whole other topic with mental health, but phobias are very powerful. I mean, but there's a difference too, I think, between people who I have people who have come to me who have a legitimate fear. They are absolutely petrified of snakes, but they don't want to be that way. They want to at least be able to, if they see one, they will be able to identify it and they know that it's not going to hurt them. And then there's people that I'm just convinced take some sort of sick pleasure in just being an asshole. And like, there's a guy in my neighborhood who anytime somebody, posts a picture of a snake or whatever, he'll always make a comment about how this is why I sharpen my shovel before I do yard work. And it's like a DeKay's brown snake. And I'm like, does it make you feel like more macho?
I'm just wondering who sharpens a shovel.
Right? I had that question too. But there's a couple of them in the neighborhood like that. And so I feel like there's like two different types of people with the fear.
So I have an irrational fear. I know it's an irrational fear. It's not irrational. There is science behind it. I don't care what people say, but I will not go in the water. Like I'll go in a pool, but I will not go swim in a lake. I'm not going to swim in the ocean because I know what the fuck's in there and it's better at being in there than me.
Thank you. I say the same thing to people.
But with that said, it doesn't keep me from going kayak fishing. And I'm not going to. I don't
getting in the water.
I don't stay away from the water. Like I'll go fishing in the on the water. I'm just not getting in it. So it's my same thing as like I take a snake to school to show kids to do something, and then I have a kid freak out sitting in the back of the room. And my first thing is, what are you afraid of? It can't fly, jump. It can't come get you. It's in my hand. If it bites anybody, it's me. What is the fear there? And so I don't understand not getting over that fear, I guess, is what I don't get.
Well,
I will. Oh, go ahead.
I would say that also goes to education a little bit because those people from probably a very early age were never taught specifically that about snakes or what have you, that it can't get that far away or it can't jump
get to you at that point.
They possibly lack spatial awareness or what have you, but they've literally never been taught anything about snakes. And so they don't know that it can't jump. But then
look at how many, sorry.
No, I say the other part
thing.
is that, yeah. No, the other part is that people like that have those irrational fears. And we make fun of like this generation, right? Like, oh, the kids are soft or whatever. That's a bunch of crap. There's always been kids like that and people that were raised like that. We just can see it more now because we share things on social media. So those people have always existed. That's how they perpetuate themselves and make kids. And now you just see them on Facebook. But they've also never been taught how to deal with that. Like literally, like for me with my kids, that was the very first thing. They would like back up away from me. And it's like, it's a corn snake the size of a pencil. Can a pencil reach that far? And they're like, no. I'm like, well, then a corn snake the size of a pencil can't reach that far. Like they might have still been scared to touch it, but a 5-year-old kid knew what that meant because they know what a pencil is.
Right.
But no one ever said that to them. They were scared of whatever it is, going in the water, heights, whatever. And then their figurehead in their life was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, there's rattlesnakes, cobras, shit'll kill you.
Well, that's why I've never used a snake to scare anybody.
Yes,
I refuse at
we're
any point
huge
to
on that.
ever try and scare someone, because I'll bring snakes.
That's when I lose my shit.
I'll bring
people.
snakes to school, and you know, a teacher come in and go, "Hey, bring this over here to scare so and so." No, I'm not. That defeats anything I'm trying to accomplish with this.
Yep.
And so that's also one reason I've voiced it before, that less people should go out in public with their reptiles. We talked about it last time. Not everybody's equipped with the ability to educate people properly on reptiles.
Yep.
Even if they think they're doing the right thing, they don't. And so, like, someone posted in a boa group this weekend, they were, funny enough, in Galveston on the beach, and some guy was walking around with his boa on the beach.
What the hell?
There's so many problems other than the fact that it's not good for the boa. People didn't go to the beach expecting to see a 6-foot boa.
Oh.
And so that shocking fear of seeing that is a negative thing, that it will cause them to not overcome that fear a little longer, because that scared them. Because to them, they saw a 12-foot boa on the beach and it was trying to kill somebody.
Uh-huh.
So,
well, I will also say that when I answered you earlier, that was a very militant answer about people who are casually cruel. I talk like that in this framework for the purpose of talking to you guys and explaining to your audience what I think about that situation. When I am in an educational situation, I don't talk like that.
Right.
For exactly the reason.
100%.
Yeah,
But
I
for-
definitely, I
for-
definitely don't tell my group that I'm gonna throat punch you if you use a glue trap.
But no, but for exactly the reason that Megan was saying, of, well, there's a handful of reasons, but like, if you're aggressive about it, you lose all of your maybes. Your maybes turn into no's, right? And I I have a different mentality on a few of these things, because I have a different side of my life that is not this. You don't convert certain people. You can get rid of them, or you can go around them. And so most of my job was getting rid of and helping the maybes come to my team. So all the yeses are on my team, and the maybes I'm trying to convince, and the no's got to be out of the way. This is the exact same thing. Realistically, everything in life is that way, especially as adults, because we have very hard set biases in the things that we grew up with, and you're not typically going to change anybody's mind that you aren't intimately familiar with, and definitely not on a social media scale. That's not how human beings function, and that's not how they process information. And so for me, there's a couple of cool facets about that. I recognize that. And so I very rarely will try to change any of the no's, and usually very few of the maybes, in a social media situation. I put out information. All of my stuff is evidence-based. And so the people who are able to logically work through that, who are probably already yeses with my agreement with me, that just reinforces we're good. We understand each other, lights, enclosures, whatever. The people who are maybes can logically work through that and go, oh, that makes sense. Like, yeah, you build the rock that way, or this plant, or whatever the particular thing we're talking about is. And the people who were no's, they were no's, and I don't care. I'm not working on converts there, right? Doing what I do, now I get the intimate part, because you and I are going to hold a tarantula at NARBC. And so if the only way you're ever going to be at my table holding a tarantula with me and my daughter is if you're already a yes, or you're a maybe, and you have some friends who are trying to convince you to do it. And so now I get the one-on-one of being able to explain and talk through it. And I talk like this, and this is how we're going to do it. We're
It's very soothing,
and they don't jump. And I am aware of that. Right. And I know that I'm a bigger, tall dude. So I'll sit in a chair, or we sit on the floor with kids, and we go through everything just like this. And then tarantulas don't jump, and then they don't have claws, and see, they have toes. And this is the furry thing. And by the time I'm done doing my whole stupid speech, especially as an adult, you're probably bored, and you'll just let it walk on you because I have nice blue eyes and you want to hang out. And you have to be aware of that. Like, yeah, I look like that kid next door who had blonde hair and blue eyes, and he grew a beard. And isn't that how people look? And yeah, okay. And then we just keep going. And a whole lot of old ladies have held really big spiders because I look like this and because I can talk like that. And you just have to be able to function in that. And you have to recognize that the whole, like, you were at a hunting camp, you know how snakes work, you idiot, da 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 da. They are done. That ain't working.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and I think
they do know that. And
being able to recognize that too. I mean, as it comes with experience. I think a lot of the people, in fact, most of the people that I see who get just so upset over the negativity, whether it's coming from other people in the hobby or whether it's coming from, we get a lot of people who, come into our group and they vent about how, I got a snake and my family hates it. And they just keep saying terrible things about it. And, nobody wants to hear bad things said about the animals that they love. No, it's not fun to hear that kind of thing, but you can tell who is new and who's been doing this for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Because generally those of us who've been doing it for, a little while, whether it's, whatever it is that you keep, we've learned how to either, set boundaries or pick certain battles. Okay, that just completely distracted me.
Sorry.
Well,
Thanks,
hey, but
guys.
while you're pausing, if you get one and you donate it, I will model it. I'm down. I got
for
you.
those of you
I need
who
to
are
stop looking at the chat.
I got you.
for those of you who are listening and not
Whole
watching
lot of
this right
pastiness,
now,
man. I got
Darren
it.
Oh.
Watson has said that Reptile Gumbo Speedos are going to be coming soon.
Jesus Christ.
I better be number one on the list. Me and Robert, man.
That is enough for it to never happen.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, but you know what I'm saying. The newer people, I think, tend to be the ones who they haven't really learned how to let it, I guess, roll off their shoulders as well. And you eventually learn to recognize the people who are, you're just, it doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you show them or what you do. You are never, ever going to convince this person to not be cruel to a certain kind of animal. It's just, unfortunately, it's just a fact of life. You've got assholes everywhere and they are completely content being a steaming pile of dog shit.
Yes.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. I have a way with words. Very eloquent.
I will say that, especially for younger people, kids that are getting into the hobby, just younger adults in general, but kids for sure, it actually, or at least in my experience, that kind of thing, like that's a family dynamic thing of whatever your family dynamic happens to be. But those are like those uncomfortable conversations, right? Where you always hear people say, oh, they sent me a picture with this snake's head cut off to ask me to ID it. And so I hurried up and Googled a picture of a dead kitten and I texted it back to them to show them what it felt like. Right.
I haven't done that in a while. Thank you.
Well, but here's the thing. The act of doing that is typically too abrasive to have the effect that you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, you're just trying to tell somebody to fuck off without saying fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
If you're trying to actually have an effect on, like in my family, my mom does not like reptiles. She never has. She's pet 2 in her whole life. I'm 38 years old and I do this professionally. And my children do it basically professionally. And that's her grandkids, right? And so my mom is super supportive. She tells everybody, oh, my son does this and his wife and then his kid, my granddaughter's got all these plants and these big old spiders. I don't like them. You should go. It's super cool. Whatever. But we had to get to that point because I had to straight up be like, do you know how ignorant it is for you to say that it's gross or that you hate them or whatever? Like, and I had to point it out to my family, a lot of my family, because like what we do, especially in the Midwest, is fairly well known. Like we're pretty popular. Like we do a lot.
They're
of
a big
really...
deal. They're kind of a big deal.
Kind of
I'll
a
say
big
it, Bill.
deal.
I'll say it.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Whatever.
One of these days I'll make
Bill's
it
like,
to
I'm fucking
Tinley.
famous, and y'all should all respect me,
Right.
motherfuckers.
One
Never
of
know
these
it,
days
though.
I'll make it to Tinley.
But it's one of those things where I had to point out to people, like, do you realize what you're saying to people? Like, do you realize that you're telling someone that, hey, this is really gross, I don't like it, or snakes are nasty, or whatever.
Yeah, this
But
thing that
you
is you. That is it's
essentially
you. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a
Yeah.
passing thing in the night. That's a huge part of you that they are saying is disgusting.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and that is, yes, I agree with what you're saying, but that's also a personality thing for the person you're referencing, because they almost certainly don't see it that way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But and for my particular situation, that didn't work. It didn't work for me to explain to my family that when you insult this thing, you are insulting something that thousands of people associate me with. And so you're insulting me, and you're saying really terrible things about what everybody thinks I do. And so you're insulting me then. And that was a really hard thing for a lot of people in my particular family to grasp. And so I had to frame it in a different way of, when you say, oh, these are really gross, or I don't like them, or whatever, but my son and his family do, like, we do the Museum of Science and Industry, whatever. It's like a famous thing, right? Famous. You sound dumb. Like
Mom, you sound dumb.
But I had to frame it. Yeah. I had to frame it in a way that.
And that is how Christmas got ruined.
But no, I had to frame it in a way that was them, not me.
Mhm.
Because.
Well, because to them, that's not a. So I think because those people, it's not a negativity. That wasn't a negative thing they were saying about you.
Right.
It's something that just comes out when they think about it, and they're supportive of everything you do, and they think it's great that you're doing it, and they don't understand that when you also say it's gross and horrible and nasty, that you're kind of not saying it's great that I do. Like it's.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is like I'm so happy because my family has said that. I'm so happy you guys are so successful. It's great. Da da da. I saw you in this paper or whatever. And that later in life, that's left unsaid. But when I was a kid, they used to actually say it. I just wish it wasn't for that. Like, and I have. Well, I'm kind of used to that. I do a lot of other stuff where my mom wishes I wasn't good at that, but that
leaves so much up to the
modeling Speedos being one of them.
Take it however you want. I don't even care. Most of whatever just went through your head's probably true.
Oh my God, Bill.
But no, like that's left unsaid. I'm so glad you are the main person for this museum. That's like a big deal. I just wish it wasn't for that. And then, but you don't say that part because that's the part that makes you sound
That could be
big.
a calendar idea, actually.
No,
like,
it doesn't.
Men of the reptile hobby wearing
fucking no, that
those.
because Andy Hine will do it.
No. They
I'm
did
in.
this at a herp show.
And like
And it never happened.
rated
It
for
stopped.
the podcast.
No.
Nope. Bad idea.
No.
Bad
I've seen
idea.
Andy Hine in a Speedo.
It's a fantastic plan. I like it.
No.
Thank you. See, I thought it was a good idea.
We'll message. No.
Assless.
You will message pictures of him in a Speedo.
My new
Enjoy it.
BFF.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
No, but for me at least, I had to frame it in a way that was them, because explaining it as me, it didn't work, because they, like in my case, like they are so averse to spiders and snakes that they can't get over it. I mean, they're in their 50s, early 60s now. Like you're not going to convince my mom to like tarantulas. You're just not. Like that, she is past that point in her life. And so I had to frame it in a way that was, hey, when you say this, like this is what people hear. People hear you talk about a world-renowned museum, and then they hear you say this gross thing.
Well, it's
and
like
that doesn't jive. It makes you sound.
Like, if they're a teacher and you're like, I'm so glad you're such a great teacher and that you get these great test scores and your students love you, but I just wish you were doing something different. Like people would look at that and go, what the fuck does that mean? Like, why are you downplaying? That's a great career. Why would you do that? It's the same thing. Like it's the same. But the problem is the hobby in general has always been outsiders, and it's far more mainstream now. And so it's becoming more accepted. So it was always looked at. It's like bikers. Like my dad owns a motorcycle, but I'm not gonna put him in the same category as a biker. Like so
he is a biker. He just is not
Did you call your dad uncool?
He is not.
My dad is uncool, but
he's a motorcyclist.
But Bill is not the 1990s guy who owns one boa in his house and invites people over to watch him throw live rats in there, and he's covered in tattoos.
Right.
He's not that reptile guy.
He's not like the Sons of Anarchy type.
No, my dad isn't. No, my dad is not a heart. No.
Oh.
Right now he's on a motorcycle trip with his brother, and who is the most
They're so opposite each other.
And he's the most
I hope he's at a Hell's Angels bar live streaming this. Like, I am the coolest damn kid.
It's probably the only reason he's not in the chat right now.
Yeah, it's at a Hell's Angels bar. Fire.
There's no fucking way that's true.
Oh god.
Oh god. But like, so like my dad is the reason I got into snakes, but he's not a reptile guy. Like he was a guy that got a ball python when he was younger, and I happened to see it. And it was a guy who got a red tail when I was younger, and then I just stayed hooked on that, mostly because of Steve Irwin, not my dad. But my dad will still ask me questions here and there. If we have a show, he'll go, "How'd you do? What'd you sell?" If like
he jumps in here and listens to the podcast
and makes fun of me,
even though he has nothing to do with the conversation.
Nothing. And so I think that's another problem when we talk about negativity, and a lot of people don't have the support system, which is another reason I like this hobby so much. Is there is that built-in support system. Because I feel free when we go to a herp show to let my daughter roam around and go hang out with other vendors. I know them. They're going to treat her the same way I would treat her, and they're going to take care of her. And if anything were to happen,
they're going to be way nicer to her than
that is probably true. But I also know that if anything were to happen to her, just like as with any other vendor, because we'd kill somebody if we had to.
So it's funny that you bring that up. She had a nightmare not that long after the last show that her and I went to, and one of our vendors had a puppy. I don't even know if they're still in the chat or not, but I actually messaged her the next day about this. Joe had been playing with the puppy, and in her dream, someone took the puppy from her and stole it. And she could not get to them fast enough or get anyone to help her get to the dog. And I was like, first of all, where were you? And she was like, I was at a herp show. I'm like, do you ever think? And she goes, no, that's how I knew it was a dream. They would never let someone do that to me at a herp show. Look, like she knew
I know,
was her secret.
I know the other guys at a herp show. I'm telling you, we could hide a body.
Oh, 100%.
Oh no, did Bill freeze?
No.
Oh, there he is. Okay. He was in statue mode. I got worried.
I'm trying to find a picture to send to you guys.
But so okay, so I do want to get to
speedos for the chat, so they'll know.
No. I
like the idea. I feel like this.
No fear, it's all good.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, I'm changing the subject. I do want to get to podcasts. Let's talk about some of the other podcasts
too for like future herps fundraisers. Good for the silent auction.
No, herps tried to make they tried making one. They took a bunch of pictures. It never got made. It's out there. It hadn't gotten made.
Heartbreaking.
I don't know. Well, I was not in it. I refused.
Do I need to help with this? I could help make this happen.
I don't know what happened to it. Anyways, so some of the podcasts I listened to, I got to listen to a lot because I drove to Austin by myself and back from Austin by myself. And so I listened to podcasts on the way. I do enjoy listening to the Reptile Fight Club, but there were a couple of good ones. One of them was with our buddy Billy Hunt, who's been on here before. And it was regarding the argument was, is it better to learn how to work with reptiles on your own or under the guys of working with a professional breeder and learning from them and all?
Sorry, I just got Bill's message.
Working with a professional breeder and going that
fantastic.
Route. And I thought it was very interesting to hear both sides. And I could definitely see, I learned more from myself, not on purpose, but because when I got into the hobby was not so connected as it is now. There were forums, and I could talk to somebody on a forum, but they were most likely 5 states away. And it was nearly impossible for me to know that someone a block away could have had the same stuff as me. So that was the only option I kind of had, was to work and learn these things myself.
Well, and I think there's a reason that people of our age and older, and we kind of make fun of it, you know, we all harp on books.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably why, is in the forum days, you could share information, but a ton of it was typed out because, you know, especially in King Snake, like using my grandma's dial-up internet, I couldn't always see the pictures and stuff. Like it was old school. And so, you know, like I talked about Frank Reitz, like he's a huge hero of mine for monitors. He was always on there and he's saying crazy stuff, and he kept all these super cool species. I didn't even know what they were. And at that time, it had just got to the point where I could Google it and probably wouldn't find all that much. And so I had to get books. And like for you, like I really learned a lot from myself and experiencing these things and going through it and screwing up and then doing it right.
Yes.
I think that's why we harp on books and just doing it so much, is because we, growing up in this, didn't have that support network.
But at the same time, it would have been awesome. I listened to the In Blue podcast with Rachel and Heidi, and they had Chase on, that works with Justin over at Canova. And Chase had an awesome opportunity to come work for Justin. And that's a great opportunity to really hone not only business skills, but how to do that stuff on mass. And like, that would be an amazing opportunity as well. So I saw the positives of both. What made me laugh was during the argument, one of the arguments was, you know, if you started working at a zoo, they don't just throw you in there with the venomous snakes and all this. You would start here and work your way up. That's not true. I did get a job at a zoo, and day one, I was in charge of crocodiles and a gaboon viper that I'd never fucking worked with. Don't get me wrong. They're like, hey, this is kind of how you do it. But it wasn't like, no, we'll let you get to this in a month or 3. And then he goes on, he goes, you know, it's like in your professional career, you know, you don't just get thrown in. And I was like, not true. I'm a teacher.
Yeah. I don't know what profession some of these people have. That is not how that works.
Most teachers graduate and then they are thrown in as teachers. And that's why most of them quit after a year, because they were not fucking ready for that. It just, so.
The place I work now is the first place that I wasn't actually just like thrown in.
They trained you.
Good luck. Like they actually trained me, and I had like this training schedule, and I was like, what is this? What's happening? I don't understand. But I mean, that's how I started handling venomous snakes. Like at first when I was, you know, thinking about, because I mean, I don't keep venomous, but when I was going to start doing relocation, I was like, you know, I'm like, I don't really have any experience with venomous snakes. I'm like, I wonder if there's like, you know, something like the Rattlesnake Conservancy here in Texas where I can like take a handling course, and there's not. So I was just like, I bought my hook and I got my bucket, and I'm like, well, here we go.
It's gonna sound bad.
Like I think I watched like a YouTube video, and I was like,
no, all of my experience prior to being a zookeeper on how to handle snakes, how to handle venomous stuff, totally Steve Irwin and those guys. Now I knew not to like, to like do this shit with them. I'm not fucking stupid.
Yeah, I definitely knew what not to do.
Yeah, like how to jump on a crocodile. I'd watched 5 million episodes of Crocodile Hunter, and that was kind of my basis for learning that skill.
Yeah.
So it just made me laugh. I was like, they don't just throw you in. I'm like, no, they kind of do.
I know. I feel bad because like,
but that's people that are not thinking of it as a job.
Yeah.
Like if you were a zookeeper and you go to a zoo, which is a business, and then they put you through the 4 days of stupid business orientation that's like, don't harass your coworkers and sign this piece of paper, then you need to go to work. Like, we hired you to do this, and here's your money, so go.
Yeah.
And that is not what Billy and them were saying was great, but they were talking more about mentorship and internships and things like that.
Yeah, a process that is made for learning.
Yeah.
Not made for doing immediately.
Yeah, because and this is a job. I'm going to give you a salary and you're going to do this work. That's why I said that I would give you the money. Like, that's, you know, you said you were a zookeeper, right? And you're like, yes. Like, okay, go keep the zoo. Like, that's what
that's your job. Go out there, figure it out. So I thought that was a good episode. That was a great episode here in the pros and cons. And I definitely understood both sides. You know, I grew up on one side of it because the other side was not something made available to me.
Right.
If I had had the chance to go work with a large scale breeder, I'd have fucking taken it right away. It'd have been awesome, but it didn't happen. And the other one I enjoyed was the more recent one was Reptile Fight Club takes on genetic defect morphs, which we've talked about this before. Things like jag and carpet python, or spider and ball python, or any of the other million things that, as we talk about with negativity on Facebook, pull out tons of negativity when they get brought up on Facebook. And I understood both sides of that. I've owned a jag carpet before. I don't anymore because it was not the thing for me. But with that said, I'm not going to tell people to not breed them. I don't think, there are definitely issues with it. But as what they said, and you hear on several podcasts, we're keeping snakes in boxes, guys. We're not raising the next group of animals to go into the wild. So I think there's a little leeway here. But it's just not the thing for me. Just like rack snake has to be the thing for someone else. So that was interesting to listen to. Once I'd argue for, I think it was Justin had to argue for it, which was also very interesting. Here, Justin Julander say, "Yeah, we should breed things that
was pretty cool,
have defects." But that was an interesting one because I don't think that's one of those topics where a lot of people refuse to see both sides.
Sure,
they get very passionate, and those snakes look like they are in horrible situations, and they are very upset, and they're very. First off, you don't know. You have no idea how that snake's how it feels. You see it maybe corkscrew once when it gets excited. You don't know if that snake's like, I fucking hate my life right now. You have no clue.
I can tell that Luna feels that
snake
she's overdue for a meal and would like to join the conversation. Maybe. Yeah,
that's our corn snake in this room. That's Katie's corn snake that I think I'm gonna have to end up going over there and take care of. I think if one more time I have to take care of it, it's getting moved into the snake room so I can take care of it in there. But anyways,
well, my thing on stuff like that is those debates feel like religion.
Yes.
Like maybe just keep that at home. I don't like spider balls and I don't like jags and I don't keep them. And that's probably the first time I've ever said that to a group of people.
But that's okay too.
Why do you care if I don't keep spider balls or carpet jag? Like it doesn't matter. So I just don't buy them and I don't have them, and then that's it. There's I don't go on Facebook and yell at people. I just don't have them.
Like, I don't have to defend what I don't understand the idea of having to convince me, who doesn't want any of them, that this should be okay. If you want them, buy them. If people are still breeding them then buy them. But you don't have to convince me that I think you should buy them. It's your collection. Do whatever the hell you want to.
That's the great thing about the reptile hobby. There's thousands of reptiles to choose from. There's literally something for everyone.
Well, and a little bit of that, to me at least, because I do have people that talk about it in that way of like, they want me to say it's okay, I think. Or
they need
that's
your
how the
permission.
Conversation feels. And to me, because my actual opinion is that I don't like them. If you need me to tell you it's okay, then you probably already know the answer to that. That's like a parenting thing. Like if you had to come ask me if you could have that chocolate, you probably
just looking for someone to validate their decision.
Because you knew you're making the wrong one and you wanted me to let you have cookies after 9:00. You knew the answer to that.
And the argument is the argument isn't
exactly.
do we need them? The argument is more should we? And if you feel you should, have at it. But don't be upset if someone else is like, I think it's kind of messed up. We shouldn't. Go, okay, that's fine. Then you don't, I will. So, but I will not.
Does this apply to other things in life or just reptiles?
No, just reptiles.
Fuck.
So, and then I did listen to.
Just wanted clarification.
I did listen to the In Blue podcast with Chase from Canova, and that was a very interesting one. A lot of people know Chase from being there working at JK Reptile, Justin Kubilka Reptiles and all J Kubilka, but it's Canova now. But they know that he had his bout with cancer a couple years ago, and that's one thing where we talk about this community that we're in, this hobby we're in. When something like that happens, the outpour that comes from that is amazing. Chase had a ton of help with that from the hobby, and our friend that's going through it now with Herbs is getting a ton of help from the hobby. And that's one thing I do love seeing in this hobby is that as weird as we all are, we'll come together when something's wrong with one of us. Like we're not afraid to stand up and help somebody. But that also goes to the ones that we talked about that weed themselves out. They're not a part of that hobby. We're not helping them. They go away. So that was a good episode with on the In Blue podcast. And then I did listen to some dude that does Lizard Brain Radio.
Yep.
And he had I haven't finished listening. I've gotten like halfway through it, but it's the one with the most recent with Justin from the Herpculture Network.
Yeah, that was really long.
Yeah, and Eric with the Morelia the Morelia Podcast Network. What is
Morelia
it?
Python Radio.
Morelia Python Radio, but it's the Morelia Python Network.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but that was an interesting one. One thing I always thought was funny, and then I noticed over the years, and you brought it up in the podcast, is it's interesting how with these podcasts, and I'm not saying I've done any of this. It's definitely I'm definitely on the same level as Eric, but how they have changed the hobby in certain ways.
Oh yeah.
So carpet pythons, 100%. I would not have known what a Brisbane coastal carpet was if it wasn't for the fact that there's a carpet python podcast.
Yep.
And it gets brought up. I wouldn't have known who Michael Pinnell was if it wasn't for that. You know, the first time I went to a show and I found out I was right next to Python in a pear tree. And I was like, wait, I fucking know that name. And then I realized who it was. And then I realized he has a whole line of carpet python named after him. I'm like,
oh, he texted me totally nerding out at that show.
but now it's just Michael. but that was big then. But now it's just Michael. Like I don't. It's still one of my favorite people. And
normal people.
Well, but
normal's loose, but
carpet pythons have become far more popular purely because of Owen and Eric.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%.
And Justin talked about Baird's. Baird's rat snakes weren't a fucking thing in the hobby until he started talking about it all the time. And now I see him at shows and I see him posting online
more often.
And that's all happened within the last 2 years since he really hyped up how great Baird's are.
Oh yeah.
Who's been talking about Antaresia? Because they're starting to pop up everywhere now, and I'm slightly annoyed by it.
That probably stems a lot from
that is.
Eric. You do. It's their pissed off children's python.
Yeah, children's.
But I mean, Justin Julander
Yeah.
breeds them. He's been on NPR and they talk about Australian pythons. And so a lot of that stuff has gotten pushed. So I found that very interesting to listen to. They're just dudes. Like I've met Justin. I know him. I've talked to Eric. They're just guys, but the impact that they've had on the hobby while not trying to have an impact is funny.
Sure.
As you watch some of these folks who think they are big deals, having their YouTube channels and all this, and they have zero impact on the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys have done it without even trying. They just started podcasts because they wanted to get together and talk about reptiles. And it's the whole reason I do this podcast. I want to get together once a week and talk about reptiles. So,
well, dude, I said that in the episode that is when, like, Facebook is a thing for it, like organic or paid reach, and people talk about organic advertising or whatever. When businesses talk about that, that's what they actually mean, is generating interest in a natural way, not paying for it.
Yeah.
And that's why it's functional. Like Antaresia suck. They suck to get started. They're small. They eat
so
lizards. They suck. They bite.
I
They're
love
like
them.
not
I
a
have
cool pet
two.
snake.
Are yours nice?
They are a cool pet snake. I love mine.
Are yours nice?
Yeah,
I need to come
Bullshit.
meet this.
Yeah,
because ours
she's
is
lying.
the
No
devil.
She's
Well,
lying.
I should say they're nice when I get them out. I do have to hook them.
No,
'cause
ours
this is
still
a place
wants
where
to
nobody
bite you
believes that.
40
Yeah.
million
mine
times.
mine are great. You know, my baby carpet pythons aren't bitey either.
bullshit.
All right, well then
I
you should
swear
lower
to
the
God.
ether content in your house.
Are you keeping all of your snakes at 65 degrees?
Yeah,
No.
that's
You're like the monitor person who's at a show and goes, see, this water monitor is super calm at 75 degrees.
oh
No,
yeah.
my
I love
Mexican
those
black
people.
my Mexican black king snake hates like everything. Hates life.
Okay,
Mine
that's-
hates
that's
James.
appropriate.
Yeah, just
Mine's
hates-
great with
hates
me.
life.
But
Mine's
no,
great with me. She hates James.
I'm telling you, like stereotypically, they're horrible pet snakes.
I
Yes.
love them.
However,
That's what I always heard, and I have two, and they're great. I love them.
you
That's how
get,
that's how our pine snake is.
but you get people like that have good experience, and so now you have good anecdotal experience, and then the like face, I guess, of them is Justin Julander,
Dr. Justin Julander.
Doctor.
Doctor.
Very educated and actually a nice guy. And
Yes.
so anytime you hear him talk, he's not a negative person. He's very positive. He's very educated. And he's he is a good face for that. And so then people are like, well, it's got to be cool. Like he's a super nice guy. He keeps him. It's got to be great. And then you get them and you have positive experience. And so you're like, yes, perfect. Justin Julander's amazing. And so are these amazing snakes. Or you
I'm
get
not
them.
going to say that they're like a perfect angel. Like sometimes.
So yes, they're assholes.
true.
So everything we said is true, and you are trying to lie about how great they are.
They're fantastic. I love them, but
Bullshit.
sometimes Sasha's not on board with the fact that I need to continue to keep her
Agreed.
hydrated, and
Horrible pets.
We just have to have come to an understanding.
But speaking of Justin Julander, it may be the reason at some point in the near future our show will be recorded like on a Monday or a Wednesday night because he can't do Tuesday nights, and I want to have him on.
Cool.
He's cool.
And that's a genuine thing. Like he's actually a good dude. He's actually really educated. Like that,
and
is
has literally
why
written the book
it
on
happens.
carpet pythons.
Yes,
You have
also
that book?
true.
I do. I have it right here.
Oh,
You
is
bought
that
it
the?
from me.
Oh, that's the one I just bought you.
See, look.
I don't
Look at
know.
We
who we're
literally
talking
Justin-
about.
talked about
Justin
this at the
Julander,
beginning.
PhD.
Oh, very cool.
We already had Nick Mutton on.
We have.
Yeah.
I was out that episode.
Yes, that was a great episode because Nick will
But I mean,
talk for forever.
That matters. Like look at, something like Odatria for small monitors. Like nobody really cared about small monitors, and you had Rare Earth. The guy, like Brandon's actually a super good dude.
That was
Like-
such a cool setup at Tinley.
But super cool setup. He's actually a really good dude.
He
Includes
is.
his kids. Super easy to talk to. And then you get a guy like Mike Stefani who gets really into it.
We had him on a
But-
pint size. He's great.
Same thing. Super good dude. Includes his kids. Easy to talk to. And then everybody's like, well, they're awesome. So they got to be keeping cool stuff.
Yes.
And then Mike also keeps giant water monitors.
Yes.
Like he keeps lizards bigger than him because he's tiny. Like that,
He's
But
kind of like
Isn't everyone tiny compared to you though?
no. Mike is kind of like
he actually is tiny.
he's kind of like
That's-
Grimly from
tall
are you?
Lord of the Rings.
How tall are you?
Bill's
Me,
about my
6'2".
size.
6'2"?
Yeah. He's built very
He's
like.
a couple inches shorter than me.
my-
He's about my size.
similarly.
My
to
brother
James.
is 6'5". He's like
That's
the jolly
really
green
tall.
giant.
See, I know you're new replacement, Robert, but every time I come on, we have this discussion where Katie is convinced that I am gigantic and
He is.
her person sitting right next to her is bigger than me.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we always have this
But for
conversation.
some
of,
reason, in my
I'm telling
mind,
you, when we
Bill
met
is
him,
larger
he
than
was
James.
humongous.
He was.
And it's like
The man
no,
was
you were
7 foot
looking at the
tall.
I
spider.
think it's because he's maybe
He
it
was
because you
he
were
was
holding the
picking apples from the
tarantula.
top of trees barefoot.
But he's, I don't know.
You're so
I love
pretty.
Bill.
You're so pretty.
Bill,
I
I
mean,
just love
every
him so
episode
much.
is like, you remember we met Bill? He's gigantic. Like, wait a minute.
I feel
Damn
like
it.
I feel like I need a t-shirt to wear on podcasts that says like replacement Robert.
It was sometimes your replacement Katie, so we
Well,
can't.
I'll have
So
two.
she'll have two.
And I'll just like I'll
That,
alternate.
that way she remembers what size
Hey,
she'll
I'm
sit
making
on.
shirts this weekend, so
Yeah.
we can make it
So,
happen.
so Bill, on the last podcast, I misspoke when I said something about you having Egyptian Neuromastics, and I finally remembered who it was that has it.
It was
It was the-
Crosstown.
It was Crosstown because I had met both y'all at the same time in Tinley.
Yep.
And so my brain was messed up, but it was Crosstown that had
I
it.
will be listening to both of your episodes that you did with Philip Leitz tomorrow while I'm working. I think I've
Oh,
brought this up
he's
like 3
super
times
good.
today. So I keep Euromastics. It was actually my very first reptile. I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with them, and I desperately want a lizard from Philip Leitz when it's within my budget because he produces some of the most gorgeous Euromastics I have ever seen in my life. And he's expanding his breeding projects
He
now too. And I'm
is.
just like, oh my God, look at desert species, arid species lizards are my favorite. So I'm
will
like, apparently
throw
I need
a
all
plug
of the
out for
things.
you and for anybody else who's listening, another guest that I have had on in the past is Michael Rodriguez of Desert Gem Herps.
Yes, I
He
follow
was-
him too.
He is a big Euromastics guy, and
I
he
think he's out in California, isn't he?
is.
Or he was? Okay.
Michael is in the process of downsizing his collection. And so for folks who are looking for Euromastics, Michael would be a person to talk to.
My husband's going to be horrified when he finds out.
Just saying. I'm just saying.
Mostly because he just doesn't want me to spend any more money, but you know.
That
This is-
won't
this
work
is
in
where
the
we-
Euromastics world.
This right?
Just
Yeah.
Fair
This
warning.
is where we
Just for everybody who's listening.
yeah,
things don't go together.
yeah, it's kind of like hilarious to me that Uromastyx was my first reptile, and I thought that I was going to be the Uromastyx lady.
That's another one of my animals that hates me, by the way.
Until I was like, oh crap, keeping these guys is hella expensive. This isn't going to work. I am not going to have a room full of these guys because I won't be able to afford it.
Yeah.
My Euro is not a fan of me either.
Oh no, Orion.
I've tried for years to get him to like me. It has not happened. So he's just pretty in a cage.
Orion hates
give him some
me.
food.
She was wild caught. I got her from a family whose child got bored after 6 months, and I'm like, it's a Uromastyx. Of course, your child got bored after 6 months. So yeah, I just
all right. So
I watch her eat.
We are getting this. I want to run through our group discussion page real quick. There's some cool things in there. I haven't watched this trailer yet, but the trailer for Prehistoric Planet, which is done by Sir David Attenborough.
Watch that one yet either, but I have it saved.
I want to see that. It's just anything with Sir David Attenborough's name on it, I will watch.
Yep.
I have. Let's assume I supposedly had all the episodes of Planet Earth downloaded for free. I don't, because that would be piracy and it's wrong. But if I did, I would most likely download the ones with Sir David Attenborough and not Sigourney Weaver, which I may have.
That's good to know. It's a good thing that you haven't done that.
Yeah, I have not done that. But if I did, it would all be the ones with Sir David Attenborough. Also, I found this one and posted it. They may have found the ivory-billed woodpeckers.
Yeah, I saw that.
So for the longest time, we thought they were extinct. You'd hear stories of so-and-so was out in the woods. They didn't get a picture of it, but they know they saw it. Apparently, these researchers may have actually found them in Louisiana. They may have found some ivory-billed woodpeckers, which would be really cool because that's a massive woodpecker. It'd be really neat to see that.
And the way that it read was they didn't find one. They found
a group of them.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's great. Oh, I did enjoy the video you posted, Megan. If you want to see it again, it's over on our Reptile Gumbo podcast discussion group. But it's of the turtle saying "fuck you, alligator" and stealing its food.
I watched that like 10 times.
That's hilarious. These people are like throwing food to this alligator. And the turtle just like walks up and just like kind of pushes the face of the alligator out of the way and grabs the food and leaves with it.
He just gave no fucks.
The biggest balls on a turtle on earth. Just said fuck it. I posted the picture of the PETA ad where it looks like the two guys fucked a chicken.
That I could have gone my entire life without.
I'm not sure. I mean, don't get me wrong. PETA is run by idiots. So obviously someone that thought this was a good idea. It's not. Although PETA in general is not a good idea. So fuck them. Trying to think what else we got posted. Oh, so last week we talked about the four guys gang raping the monitor lizard, and I was like, that's horrible. And then shortly after the episode, I realized it got worse. They killed and then ate the lizard as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I guess the lizard didn't have to live with the idea of being gang raped by these guys, so that's good. But that's fucked up. That's fucked up. What is that? A giant Malaysian turtle was surrendered to Wisconsin Animal Rescue. Okay. I hadn't seen that ad.
Really?
I've seen that one. That's kind of cool. You need to go find that one.
Call some people.
I'm about to say, you may know some people. You need to find that turtle.
Yeah, buddy.
I know someone in your house that would enjoy that turtle.
Oh, yeah.
Lizard King. If anybody's ever read the book Lizard King, it is about, why can't I never remember his name? Because it's, you know it. What is it? How do you say his name? I'm going to find it. Hold on. Michael Van Nostrand, if you've ever read the book Lizard King, he did a lot of illegal shit in the 70s, 80s, 90s, apparently, currently.
Of course,
he's getting 7 months for trafficking Florida turtles.
Florida man strikes again.
That was interesting. I mean, they wrote a book on you. You're not under the radar. But there was that.
Maybe he felt like he would be because everyone's been talking about Tiger King for so long. He figured people forgot about him.
I did post an article on 36 Louisiana pine snakes being released into Louisiana, into where I just moved from, the Cassash National Forest.
Super cool.
I saw that.
Love my Louisiana pine snakes. I think I will breed them at least once just because I want to see giant ass eggs.
Okay, well, when you do, let me know because I want one.
Yeah, I think
maybe two.
I have to gift them to people so that I don't have to worry about paperwork, but that's down the road. Oh, I listed an idea that I had for a zoo. Where it's only reptiles with other animal names. And this got a lot of comments, some of which I thought of and some of which I still don't think people put on some of the ones I thought of. So like my suggestions to start off were leopard gecko, tiger rat snake, rhino viper. Drew Schultz had a good one. I didn't think of coral snake. A coral snake is technically an animal. I would not have thought about that, but coral snake's a good one. Bull snake, leopard tortoise, crocodile skink, mandarin rat snake, because it's still a rat snake. Monkey tail skinks, cat-eyed snakes, keeled slug-eating snakes. Okay, you like this one? Crocodile skinks.
Love. I will have those one day.
I thought about this one, Cayman lizard, because it's a reptile with another reptile's name in its name, which is kind of cool. Parrot snakes, bumblebee dart frogs, panther chameleons. I thought about that one. Hognose snakes, rhino rats, bullfrog, snake neck turtle. I'm trying to see some of the other ones. Anyways, I thought that would be interesting to on an entire reptile house where everything is another animal's name in its name. Gopher snake, tiger rat, rattlesnake, and wolf snake. Those are some of the other ones on
Sounds
there.
fun.
I
So-
know how tired I am because it wasn't until you started reading the list that I finally got what you meant. I kept looking at this post going, what the fuck is James on?
See, and I didn't even know it was him that posted it because I was just scrolling through and was like, nope, and just kept
I'm
going.
like, I don't understand what's happening.
It was reptiles with other animal names.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
God, I'm tired.
You posted one of a cottonmouth taking a float down the river.
That was so fabulous.
I can't stop watching
It looked like it was just
A
like
raft.
tubing.
It
Yeah.
makes me
Death
giggle
floating down
every
the river.
time.
Like it's
and
missing its cooler where it was just drinking beer the whole way down the
Yes.
river.
I'm so
Yes.
sad now that I live in a county where I can't have one.
Drew Schultz posted a video. It said mother rainbow boa helps free her baby from its embryonic sac.
You were a dream crusher.
I was.
Dream crusher.
Okay,
Look,
it was
it
still
could-
a cool video.
It could have been doing that, but I do know.
It was the way you worded it and
I-
his response.
I do know
sold
that
it.
with boas, usually the reason they go around biting and nudging the babies is to find the dead ones and then to eat them.
So this is what
Drew
he
was
says.
pretty crushed.
Drew says, here,
Can
click
you
on the
quit
link.
touching my computer?
No.
You don't know how to work computers.
Click on the comments. Drew says, this is so cool. Has anybody seen this?
Oh, hold on. It's not. Where's it at?
Do you need me to read them?
And then James responds with, a lot of times mom boas will go around looking for dead babies to eat. Usually when the baby moves, they stop. So I guess there is a chance that it's trying to help the baby
See, there's a
escape.
positive there.
And James, he goes, well, dream shattered. Good job there, James.
It is what it is. They do.
Dream
They
crusher.
someone posted a link to a video of the anaconda. It was Ryan Gosling posted one of the anaconda eating the babies after the dead babies and infertile ovums. It's a thing they do, but we can pretend that it was.
Is that
Helping.
what that link is? I haven't clicked on it. Okay, I'm not
There-
going to click on it.
There is a thought that, like we talked about before, both things could be true.
Yeah,
So-
like,
Oh,
it could
100%.
be.
Well, there's a thought that the female does that. She does eat the stillborn and the infertiles, but her process of checking to see if they are alive or not is what cracks the sac and accomplishes the goal.
Mhm.
And so when she does that and the sac splits, the baby moves, she moves on. And it doesn't, she eats it. And so you're accomplishing both things.
Both things at
Yeah.
once.
That's why I said it could be. I didn't
Mhm.
completely say
I
no.
just thought it was
I didn't go no.
hilarious.
It's only eating them, which is what the general internet would have said.
Oh, yeah.
General internet would have said you're an idiot. It's just killing them.
It was
Like, it's-
hilarious, though. I guess because I know both you and Drew, and it just made me laugh.
Travis Wyman posted a new idea. I think Drew's going to open up at the learning zoo. It's
Yeah.
yoga with snakes. It was a whole video of doing yoga with
So
snakes.
there was something.
That-
a
What could go
couple-
wrong?
There was something a couple years ago where it was like massages with snakes,
Yep.
and they basically used the weight of the very large
Yes.
snakes to like release all the tension and relax you.
Nathan
We-
posted some good.
We have a friend, a family friend that comes to our facility, and she is a person who uses weighted blankets
Mhm.
type of thing. And she holds one of our boas, and she's used one of our berms for the same process.
Cool.
I love it.
Nathan Holcomb posted a thing from the Reptile Report which showed these rough-throated leaf-tailed geckos.
Those were cool.
Those
They
are really
are.
cool looking. I was trying to see. Oh, our friends Wiregrass Exotics are having Wiregrass Exotics spiders and ciders.
Yeah, that's
Scale-
cool.
Scales and nails.
Yeah, so if you're in the Ozark area, May 28th, go check them out. Drink and talk about snakes or spiders.
Yep.
There's this picture of a really cool looking garter snake that someone in North Carolina. It's really pretty. I hadn't seen that before. That was bright. Oh, and this one. So I saw this when I got out of school.
I did too.
Rattlesnake bit Carrie L's on his hand. So if anybody doesn't know, that's if you've ever seen The Princess Bride or Robin Hood, Men in Tights. Come on, we're men in tights.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the best movies ever made. Best movie ever made. Ever. Anyways, he got bit on the hand. So go check it out. You can actually find. I posted a picture in the comment of his finger, and it's pretty fucking gnarly looking. But a rattlesnake got him, and but he's good. They say he's recovering fine. He should be okay. But the funny thing was in his tweet or whatever that he posted, he referenced rodents of unusual size.
Yep.
He said he got bit, and it wasn't by rodents of unusual size. So.
And he wasn't inflammatory or anything when he posted it.
No, not at all.
Was not.
Yeah, he didn't. He was working. They said he was working outside of his house in California and got bit on the hand.
Yeah.
And so that was very interesting. I enjoyed that one.
Which tells me that maybe he was gardening or moving some rocks and startled. And
this time of year, you have to be very careful with that.
This time of the year,
anywhere in the country, really, you need to be careful when moving rocks, logs, tin, anything that something could be hiding under. I've seen. I don't know how many herping videos where I watch people that reach with their finger underneath and just pull up, and I'm like, that's a bad idea.
I usually wear like thick gloves when I'm doing stuff out in the yard, and we had there's a, I don't even know what it was. There's a hole in our yard, and that's where like all the wires for the irrigation system go. And I don't remember why, but for some reason, I think something had fallen in there or whatever. And I stuck my hand in there to grab it. And as I'm like sitting there, I'm like, this
is how you get bit.
This is exactly what I tell people not to do.
Don't shove hands in holes.
I'm like, maybe we shouldn't do this. It's dark and I don't know what's down there.
So that was all of my stuff on there. One thing Katie reminded me I have not mentioned is our giveaway this month.
We've had a bunch of people that have gone on since last week and posted their screenshots.
What you need to do is to win this mandala. You can't really see it in the picture online, but I have posted it on our Facebook page. It's an amazing mandala from our friends over at Crafty Gargoyles. I love Gonzo and Selena. I was going to call them some other G name just for fun. Gizmo.
It's gorgeous. Whatever. And I'm still salty that James will not let me.
But it's an amazing mandala with a chameleon with a background of leaves. All you have to do is go over to our page, post a screenshot of your membership to US ARC, which if you are listening to this and you enjoy reptiles at all, you should have the very basic minimum membership to US ARC. I think it's $40 or $5 a month, whatever it is. There's two of them.
There's a $20 version if you're a student.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. So go do that. Screenshot that. Put it in the comments, and you're automatically in. I actually think I'm going to extend this into May, so it'll be our April and May giveaway. It's just too nice for me to go, let's do it for 1 month. I want more people to have an opportunity to win this. So, and I also
we want more people to join US ARC.
That, and it gives me another month of having this on my wall. So I'm cool with that too. It's very pretty, and I get to walk in here and look at it.
Oh my god!
I'll be very sad the day that I have to pack it up in this box and send it off to somebody, but it will happen at the end of May. So please just go over and then post your picture.
Then we're out of school, so then we don't have to. Yeah, we don't have to worry about anything. Because I'm afraid that if we tried to do it in a week, when you start state testing and then I start the week after that,
bring on summer break.
It's gonna get taken away.
I think I've covered everything.
I think so.
I'm sure I haven't, but we will say I have. Bill, if people want to get a hold of you, where are the 5 million ways they can find you?
Yeah. So personal Facebook, whatever, that's fine. Coal Black Exotics is on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, all sorts of stuff. The main podcast is Lizard Brain Radio, and it's on the Herpeticulture Network. I am frequently floating around either on Snakes and Stogies or guesting on something or another. And so, yeah, you can, if you are the kind of person who does major reptile shows, I go to NARBC in Tinley Park pretty much every time because I live up here. And I look like this. One of these days
I'll make it up to Tenley. I wanted to go to NARBC Arlington this year, but
I did go. That was my first time going to that one.
First time going to that one.
Oh, maybe next year.
Also, follow Bill's podcast on Facebook, because then when he goes live, which he does with his podcast, he goes live on Facebook. You can watch it live and be a part of that, like this. So go ahead and do that. It's a great. It's even if you're not a lizard person, go listen to it, because it gives you a chance.
It's a great podcast.
Well, it is, and it gives you a chance to listen to about animals that you normally would never think about. So give it a try. You never know what you might like until you find out about it. There's so many things out there, like we talked about. There's so many different options for reptiles. You never know. Like, I didn't know I wanted Kimberly rock monitors until Brett Bender. Now it's Brett Bender's fault that I want them. But now I really want Kimberly rock monitors.
I know. We've talked about it.
Me and desert iguanas. I need one so bad.
Yeah.
I just want a red-eyed crack
I need one
skink.
so bad. I'm waiting for Elise to just call me one day and say, "Hey, I got one," because I'm ready for it.
All right, James. People want to get a hold of us.
Well, you might want to talk into the microphone the whole time.
If people want to get a hold of us, how can they do that?
Real quick though, there is going to be another podcast coming out this week. I think it's this week. I have to see if it's our turn to put one. I haven't put out a pint-sized reptiles podcast in a few weeks. My bad. We dropped the ball on that one. But we did one last night on chameleon geckos, which I didn't know were a thing.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
But they're a thing. I didn't know there was a smaller version of New Caledonian geckos than like cresteds and gargoyles. But there is.
They're basically what leeches actually eat.
Yeah. It's if you could picture a lychee fucking a morning gecko, that's what you get with these guys. They're like little tiny lychees. They're like 4 inches long. So it's really cool.
I vaguely remember you telling me about it when you came downstairs.
Yeah, and unlike stupid cresteds, these, like the rest of their cousins, grow their tails back. I still don't understand the whole crested gecko thing, not growing a tail back. It's the worst evolutionary thing I've ever seen. Everybody else
because they're not actually cousins, they're in a different group, but whatever.
That may be it. But everyone else grows it back, except for cresteds, who actually use their tail.
All right. Well, if you want me to cook you dinner, get off your soapbox.
I do want dinner. Okay. If you want to get a hold of us, it is the Reptile Gumbo podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and at gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of me, just message me with that. If you want to get a hold of Robert, it is lsreptileracks.com. He's not here. I get to do it. Get to him. If you want a rack or a cage, he's doing some awesome cages right now. I need to get him to make me some more. So check out Robert. He will be at a herp show near you. That's the best way to pick it up. If they want to get a hold of you, Megan,
if you want to get a hold of Not Robert,
Robert,
either personal Facebook page, not Robert.
Good luck on spelling that last name.
I post in the group
some
a
yappy
lot,
bitch
or Lone Star Snakes on either Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, slug eating bitch, whatever the name is. Just search for.
Slap a bitch, which is going to be
Slap
happening
you in a minute.
this room.
All right. Bill, thanks for coming on.
Sure.
Megan, thanks for. Oh, I forgot to put out my awesome cup that I just got.
Oh,
yay!
Katie got me the most Texas cup ever.
Thanks, Megan. The cup takes priority.
I know.
Fine.
I know.
It's a snake on it.
It's a giant.
Texas people.
It's a giant. Don't tread on. Go ahead.
Have you guys looked up the Wild About Texas thing on Instagram? They got a new book.
No.
No.
Instagram, all one word. Wild About Texas.
Get on that. You two that have Instagram. I don't have Instagram.
Has a new reptile book available. You guys should check it out.
Oh my God.
Wild
You're right. I like Bill.
I meant to make sure you guys.
Gonna be my new BFF.
Yeah, we have Texas license plates for our vehicles now. And now James has a Texas cup.
A big giant Texas cup says "Don't tread on me."
My goal in the next month is to get driver's license. So
I can't wait until I finally get my truck and then I can get my license, my conservation license plate. I am torn between the Western Diamondback
and the horn lizard.
The horn lizard. I can't decide.
I'm gonna get a "Don't tread on me" one.
I wish you could have like one on the back and one on the front, like one of each.
I would love to do that, to get one of those, but it only allows 5 letters on it. And the thing that I want on my specialized plate is 6 letters. So I'm going to get the "Don't tread on me," so I at least get a rattlesnake.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah. I'm not telling anybody what I'm getting though.
Because he has like a specific something that he wants to put on the tag, not just have a specialty tag.
Oh,
Gumbo is 5 letters.
It is, but I have a better one. I know it's a book. It's only $17.
I know.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, we gotta get that.
I'm ordering when I get home.
All right. So we are gone. Good night to everybody. Thanks y'all for listening. We'll be back next week with someone at some point talking about reptiles.
I have someone for next week.
We do have someone for next week. We'll be back with somebody for next week. All right.
If it falls through, it'll just be me. It's fine.
All right. So good night.